Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. So, for today's video, you're going to have to bear with me a little bit because I feel like mental today. Not been sleeping, but this is no one cares. I should need to ring my therapist. Not been sleeping very well. I mean, like staying up till 5 a.m. to write this rubbish, this trash, and then not sleeping properly. And then I went to Chessington World of Adventures yesterday, and I came back from that, and I'd had a nice day and stuff, and then I threw up. Like I'm an 8-year-old child. Threw up. Had too much sugar, did I? Weird, right? So, I feel a bit weird today. And also, it is like 28 degrees. I've got the stupid like studio lights on. Studio, this kitchen. Anyway, today's video, we're looking at a Colleen Hoover book. I know, like a whole month ago, I did a little poll on my community tab. And I said, what do you want to see next? Blah, blah, blah. And everyone voted, like 50% voted for 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades Darker. And I'm doing it. It's just, there's just so much wrong with the book that I fear it's going to be literally a 7-hour long video if I don't rein it in a little bit, because there's something wrong with every single line of it. So it's just taking a little longer. So in the meanwhile, I'm already getting hot. I'm already flustered. In the meanwhile, we're going to be doing this. Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover. Yeah, right. Maybe someday I'll read a good Colleen Hoover book, but it's not this day. So before we get started, follow me on Instagram. Check out my third channel. That's it really. Prologue. I just punched a girl in the face. Not just any girl. My best friend. Hooray! Violence! I felt bad for hitting her, but then I remembered what a lying, betraying whore she is. Hooray! Hated women! So instead I punched him. I didn't do any damage to him, unfortunately. Not like the damage I'd done to my hand. Bella Swan moment. Punching someone hurts a lot worse than I imagined it would. Not that I had a migraine last night, and I fear it's like threatening to come back right now. Not that I spend an excessive amount of time imagining how it would feel like to punch people. Really, I'll do it all the time. Don't know your mind. Look at that. Time to speak. Although I am having that urge again as I stare down at my phone at the incoming text from Rich. He's another one I'd like to get even with. I know he technically has nothing to do with my current predicament, but he could have given me a little heads up a little sooner. Therefore, I'd like to punch him too. Coho, this is a lot of words to be like quite bored about. Also, what type of name is Bridge? Also, what type of name is Bridge? Also, what type of name is Ridge? It's like Bridge, but lazy. That was not worth it. That was not worth it. I could call my parents, but that would give them ammunition to start firing. Or, fuck me, look all this text. Start firing. Although, we told you so, is that me? We told you not to move so far away, Sydney. We told you not to get serious with that guy. We told you if you'd chosen pre-law over music, we would have paid for it. We told you to punch for your thumb on the outside of your fist. Okay. Who's punching like that? What idiot. Okay, maybe they never taught me the proper punching techniques, but if they're so right all the damn time, they should have. I clenched my fist and spread out my fingers, then clench it again. My hand is surprisingly sore, and I'm pretty sure I should put ice on it. I feel sorry for guys. Punching sucks. Know what else sucks? Rain. It always finds the most inappropriate time to fall, like right now, while I'm homeless. I'm about to punch myself in the face because this is so boring. Why do all Coho protagonists ramble to themselves so much? I just got hit with this overwhelming sense of, no, that's actually like pretty shit, isn't it? Where? Parents. Oh, punching sucks. Oh, do you know what else sucks? The rain. What are you talking about? Anyway, Sydney, that's the main character. Her boyfriend has cheated on her. Great. I'm crying now. I'm a purseless, crying, violent, homeless girl. As much as I don't want to admit it, I think I might also be heartbroken. Yep. Sobbing now. Pretty sure this must be what it feels like to have your heart broken. Strap in, because she does this a lot. The crying, that is. A random lady offers help. Her voice is a little demanding, as if she's doing me some sort of favour and I'm being ungrateful. I arch an eyebrow as I look up at her, shielding the rain from my eyes with my hand. I don't know why she's complaining about getting wet when there isn't much clothing to get wet. She's wearing next to nothing. I glance at her shirt, which is missing its entire bottom half, and I realise she's in a Hooters outfit. Could this day get any weirder? I'm sitting on almost everything I own in a torrential downpour, being bossed around by a bitchy Hooters waitress. Wonderful. Try to make your protagonist likeable challenge impossible. This lady is a friend of Ridge's and lets Sydney stay in his apartment. She rolls her eyes and grabs my arm, pulling me out of the doorway and further into the apartment. What the hell is wrong with you? Do you even speak? She begins to close the door behind her, but pauses and turns around, wide-eyed. She holds her finger up in the air. Wait, she says. You're not. She rolls her eyes and smacks herself in the forehead. Oh my god, you're deaf. Huh? What is wrong with this girl? I shake my head and start to answer her, but she interrupts me. God, Bridget, she mumbles to herself. She rubs her hands down her face and groans, completely ignoring the fact that I'm shaking my head. You're such an insensitive bitch sometimes. Wow, this girl has some serious issues in the people skills department. She's sort of a bitch, even though she's making an effort not to be one. So she thinks that she's deaf. I have to go to work now, she yells very loudly and painfully slowly. I grimace and step back. I'm not doing that slowly, my ADHD could never. Which should be a huge clue, that I can hear her practically yelling, but she doesn't notice. She points to a door at the end of the hallway. Ridge is in his room. This is Colleen Hoover attempting to make a joke, I think. Every time Coho attempts comedy, an acre of the rainforest dies. And speaking of Ridge, why the hell did he send his psycho Hooters girlfriend to get me? I guess, she works at Hooters, so she must be a whore. Ridge appears, and Sydney gasps. I hope it's not a noticeable gasp. It's just that I've never actually seen him up close before, and he's even better looking from just a few feet away than he is from across an apartment courtyard. I don't think I've ever seen eyes that can actually speak. I'm not sure what I mean by... Why say it then if you don't know what you mean, you idiot? It's just, it just seems as if he could shoot me the tiniest glance with those dark eyes of his, and I'd know exactly what they needed me to do. They're piercing and intense, and oh my god, I'm staring. Keep it in your pants. My makeup is going to get progressively worse over the course I'm going to do with this video in one go. I'm going to sit here for 3 hours and talk. Sydney is mad at Ridge because he knew for 2 weeks that her boyfriend was screwing her bestie and didn't say anything. Well, maybe he was busy. People have their own lives, The Hooters girl is continuously referred to as the Hooters girl, which makes me think that Coho might not like Hooters for some reason. Why? Did your husband have too many business lunches there? Is your husband Michael Scott?
Why do I like Hooters? Well, I will give you 2 reasons. The boobs and the hot wings.
I never expected my 22nd birthday to end with me showering in a strange apartment and sleeping on a couch that belongs to a guy I've barely known for 2 weeks, all at the hands of the 2 people I cared about and trusted the most. And on her birthday. Chapter 1. This video is sponsored by G2A. G2A is a marketplace for digital products. G2A is a great place for anyone who wants to play video games but can't really buy them at full price as much as they'd like to. Their massive catalogue features thousands of products across many regions. It's like Amazon Marketplace, but specifically for games and software. And with games and gift cards, there's something for everyone. G2A's catalogue includes utility software and subscriptions to streaming services. G2A has over 20 million customers worldwide and has sold over 100 million products. G2A is currently running a back-to-school campaign. It's a special campaign running until the 11th of September, offering huge discount for games and special limited time deals. So make sure you check out G2A using the special link in my description box, www.g2a.com/Alizee. Thank you G2A for sponsoring today's video. 2 weeks earlier, Colleen Hoover sure does love a jumpy timeline, doesn't she? Does it make you more interested in love? Sydney is living with best cheating friend Tori, and Ridge plays guitar on his balcony every night. Sydney wants to be an elementary school music teacher and gave up learning law for it. I don't think this is ever mentioned ever again, other than right at the end when she's studying for something, but it's just her hopes and dreams and goals outside of simping over a man simply don't exist. It's not a thing. I can't deny it though. Anyone who watches how passionately this guy plays would crush on his talent. The way he keeps his eyes closed the entire time, focusing intently on every string against every guitar string. I hate Colleen Hoover talking about anything. I hate her. I can't take it. She's ruining everything that I like. I like it best when he sits cross-legged. That is annoying me. Don't get bangs. I like it best when he sits cross-legged with the guitar upright between his legs. He pulls it against his chest and plays it like a stand-up bass, keeping his eyes closed the whole time. It's so mesmerizing to watch that sometimes I catch myself holding my breath but I don't even realize I'm doing it until I'm gasping for air. Imagine you're just chilling, playing music, and you see someone across the street from you gasping like a fish out of water over you. I'd call an ambulance and then I would call the police. Also, this whole book, she sounds a lot like Bella Swan, but like, as much as Bella Swan is an idiot, at least it makes sense that she's always, like, trying to think of an appropriate word, I guess jizzing herself over Edward, because Edward is, like, superhumanly beautiful. Sydney totally fancies this bloke. Sydney's boyfriend comes along and Ridge looks angry about it. I quickly grab his beer and give it to him, then head straight to my bathroom. I turn the water on in the shower, but I don't get in. Instead, I lock the door and sink to the floor. Do those actions ever happen outside of movies? The whole, sinking against the door onto the floor, blah, blah, over something quite minor. Like how in a movie, if someone's feeling flustered or whatnot, they run to the bathroom and splash cold water over their face, and then they, like, watch it drip down in the mirror. I've never done that once in my entire life. I have never done, because I've felt like a little flustered or hot. Never. Use a towel, you idiots. Sydney isn't excited about her future with her boyfriend. Good thing he cheats on her then. Ridge. So this whole book has shifts in point of view between Sydney and Ridge. Ridge is smooching his girlfriend of 5 years and begging her to stay another night. After 5 years of dating, most couples would have moved in together by now. However, most people's other halves aren't Maggie. She's so fiercely independent it's almost intimidating, but it's understandable considering how her life has gone. She's been caring for her grandfather since I met her. Before that, she spent the majority of her teenage years helping him care for her grandmother, who died when Maggie was 16. Now that her grandfather is in a nursing home, she finally has a chance to live alone while finishing school. And as much as I want her here with me, I know how important this is quite the dump that nobody asked for. So, Ridge, guitarist, writes music, but at the moment he has writer's block, which is odd because he had no issues shitting out all that rubbish just now. My phone vibrates. It's a text from Brennan, which only makes me feel worse about the fact that I'm stuck. Brennan, it's been weeks. Please tell me you have something. Working on it. How's the tour? Good. But remind me not to allow Warren to schedule this many gigs on the next leg. Gigs are what gets your name out there. Our name. I'm not telling you again. Stop acting like you aren't half of this. I won't be half if I can't work through this. Colleen Hoover books are written as though they're bad movies. Like, she does something later on, I noticed this, but the whole, going in the bathroom and, slumping against the door and doing that stuff. And then the way that these texts are being texted, whatever. Maybe you should get out more. Cause some unnecessary drama in your life. Break up with Maggie for the sake of the art. She'll understand. Heartache helps with lyrical inspiration. Don't you ever listen to country? Good idea. I'll tell Maggie you suggested that. Nothing I say or do could ever make Maggie hate me. Give her a kiss for me and get to writing. Our careers are resting squarely on your shoulders. Asshole. I can't. Oh my god. Why have I done this to myself? Is that anger I detect in your text? Use it. Go write an angry song about how much you hate your little brother, then send it to me. Yeah, I'll give it to you when you finally get your shit out of the old bedroom. Bridget's sister might move in next month. Have you ever met Brandy? No. Do I want to? Only if you want to live with two Bridgets. Oh shit. Exactly. TCYL. I close the text to Brennan, and open a text up to Warren. We're good to go on the roommate search. Brennan says hell no to Brandy. I'll let you break the news to Bridget since you two get along so well. Well, motherfucker. This is why I send the emails of 50 Shades of Grey and it's throughout the entire book. Chapter 2, Sydney. She's on the balcony listening to Ridge play. He sets his guitar beside him and runs into his apartment. What the hell is he doing? And oh my god, why does the fact he's acknowledging me make me so nervous? He comes back outside with paper and a marker in his hands. He's writing. What the hell is he writing? I don't know, so why don't you just shut up and tell me? He writes down his phone number so they could text because he has a question for her. Do you sing in the shower? I shake my head, confirming my initial suspicion. He's a flirt. Of course he is. He's a musician. I don't know what kind of question that is, but if this is your attempt at flirting, I've got a boyfriend. Don't waste your time. Believe me, I know you have a boyfriend, and this is definitely not how I flirt. I just want to know if you sing in the shower. I happen to think highly of people who sing in the shower and need to know the answer to that question in order to decide if I want you to answer. But oh my god. I read the lengthy text, admiring his fast typing. Guys aren't normally as skilled as girls when it comes to speed texting, but his replies are almost instantaneous. Yes, I sing in the shower. Do you sing in the shower? No, I don't. How can you think highly of people who sing in the shower if you don't sing in the shower? Maybe it's the fact I don't sing in the shower, which is why I think highly of people who do sing in the shower. I am actually going to cry. What's your name? Sydney. Yours? Ridge. Ridge. That fits him. Musical, artsy, moody type. No, it doesn't. I think that Hoover picks character names by flicking through a dictionary and picking a word randomly. Rich has noticed Sydney singing along to his music, making her own lyrics up, and he wants them because of his writer's block. I can see it in the way your whole body responds to the guitar. You tap your feet, you move your head. And I've even tried to test you by slowing down the song every once in a while to see if you would notice, and you always do. Your body stops responding when I change something up. So just by watching you, I can tell you have an ear for music. And since you can sing in the shower, it probably means you're an okay singer, which also means that maybe there's a chance you have a talent for writing lyrics. So Sydney, I want to know what your lyrics are. I'm not trying that hard. I'm trying to be nice, to give Coho a chance, to not be a massive bitch all the time. But how can I when she writes such pretentious nonsense and it gets published? I'm going wrong. My entire life gone wrong. Anyway, because he's a Coho lead, he doesn't understand when no means no. I'm so mean. And begs Sydney until she gives in. Ridge, holy shit, she's good. Really good. The lyrics, that is, not anything else. But also somehow I doubt it. I doubt her boyfriend will go for that. He has to be the biggest jerk I've ever laid eyes on. I can't believe the balls of that guy, especially after watching him last night. He comes outside on the patio. Ew. And kisses Sydney, cuddling up to her in the chair like the most attentive boyfriend in the world. Then, the second she turns her back, he's out on the patio with the other chick. Hoover, all of your men are gross. Even this guy, he's like clearly trying to take some sort of feminist... No, is he? I don't know. He's clearly... Ignore me. I'm not making sense. It's hot, all right? Ridge has seen Sydney's boyfriend cheat on her like a million times, but doesn't want to get involved because he doesn't know Sydney. I toss the phone onto the bed and refuse to text her back. I'm not giving her a reason to text me again until she makes it home. I walk to the kitchen for a beer, then take a seat next to a passed out Warren on the couch. I grab the remote and hit info to see what he's watching. Porn. Why is Hoover's idea of all men just frat bros? He has flatmates, Ridge does. I still don't know how Brennan met Bridget or how they're involved, but even though their relationship isn't sexual, he obviously cares about her. I have no idea how or why, since she doesn't have any notable redeeming qualities other than how she looks in her Hooters uniform. See, every single bloke is an objectifying pig. Are we meant to agree with him? Shut up. She doesn't have to worry about my cheating on her. Spoiler alert, his girlfriend does. I want to text Sydney to tell her what I think about them, but I don't. About her lyrics that she sent. I've really, bare bones this. I should leave her hanging a little while longer. I know how nerve-wracking it is to send someone a piece of yourself. It's this, artsy, romanticized view that makes me just not want to, be creative or write. Oh, it's a piece of myself. I know that some people see that, and I guess that's fine if you do, but it's very unrelatable because I don't see anything like that. Even when I made that documentary a few months ago, a piece of myself. No, it was just a thing that I did because I thought it would be funny because I was bored. That's how I approach everything in life. Maybe I should have been something unromantic, like a insect person. Maybe I should have done something like that instead and not got into media and then sit back and wait for it to be judged. If I make her wait long enough, maybe once I tell her how brilliant she is, she'll have developed a craving to send me more. It might be a little cruel, but she has no idea how much I need her. Now that I'm pretty sure I've found my muse, I have to work it just right so she doesn't slip away. That's not manipulative at all. Chapter 3, Sydney. If he hated them, the least he could have done was send a thank you. I know it shouldn't bother me, but it does. And he hasn't been outside his usual time in almost a week. He's left her hanging for a week. She needs to dump him. They ain't even dating yet, but she needs to dump him. She goes onto the balcony to hear him play, and he's completely ignoring her. I love my men to have the personality of used plasters. He starts texting her. This is the theme for the book. Yeah, sorry about the silence. I'd leave town for a few days. Family emergency. Hate people like this. A text takes 2 seconds. Of all the times, Grandad. Anyway, he finally gives her the compliments she supposedly deserves for the lyrics. Huge if true. Spoiler alert. It's not true. I let out a huge breath. Until this moment, I didn't realise exactly how much his opinion mattered. Text boy once. Tori joins her and we finally get to hear what she sounds like for the first time. And they're best friends, by the way. Tori brings the food out to the balcony. I've never really looked at that guy before, but damn, she says, staring hard at Ridge while he plays his guitar. He's really hot, and I don't even like blondes. His hair isn't blonde, it's brown. No, that's blonde, she says. But it's dark blonde, so that's okay, I guess. Almost brown, maybe. I like the messy shag, and that body makes up for the fact that his hair isn't black. Tori takes a drink and leans back in her chair, still staring at him. Maybe I'm being too picky. What do I care what colour his hair is? It'll be dark when I have my hands in it anyway. I wonder if he's single, Tori says. I'd like to see what other talents he has. Wow, totally not a hypersexual villain. No way. I have no idea if he's single, but the way Tori is thinking about him makes my stomach turn. Tori is incredibly cute, and I know she could find out if he had other talents if she really wanted to. She tends to get whomever she wants in the guy department. I've never really minded until now. So as we can see from 2 text conversations, Sydney's already having a seemingly one-sided emotional affair. I suddenly become defensive, not liking the accusatory tone in her voice. Calm down, Tori. I don't even know him. All I did was text him a few lyrics. She laughs. I'm not judging Sid, she says, holding up her hands in defense. I don't care how much you love Hunter. If you have an opening with that, she flicks her hand in Ridge's direction. I'd be livid if you didn't take advantage of it. I roll my eyes. You know I'd never do that to Hunter. She sighs and leans back in her chair. Yeah, I know. So Tori is trash and we can see through her like a window. But if she's this trashy, why were they besties in the first place, huh, Hoover? Maybe you should learn to write something called subtlety. Tori reaches for my phone, but I grab it first and hold it out of her reach. That's from him, isn't it? She says. I read the text. Ridge, when Barbie goes away, I want more. I cringe because there's no way I'm letting... Wow, Ridge is lovely, huh? There's no way I'm letting Tori read this text. For one thing, he insulted her. Also, the second part of his text would be and have an entirely different meaning if she did read it. I hit delete and press the power button down to lock my phone in case she snatches it away from me. You're flirting, she says teasingly. She picks up her empty plate and stands up. Have fun with your sexting. Tori tells Sydney this story at a restaurant that she experienced. But Hunter had told Sydney the same story, but said he was with a colleague. So Sydney starts to realize that something's wrong. Why are they lying about hanging out? But she tells herself it's because it's her birthday soon and they were clearly meeting up behind her back to organize a party. Ridge. More text. My ear started hurting when I read that. Colleen Hoover is bad for my health. I'm being serious. I found a girl who I'm positive was brought to this earth specifically for us. Brennan. Sorry, man. I'm not into that shit. I mean, maybe if you weren't my brother, but still. Coco genuinely thinks that all men are frat bro, overly sexual, gross people. Why? Ridge's bandmate agrees to have Sydney write lyrics for them and get a cut of the royalties or something. Wait, don't worry about that actually, because that never happens. She doesn't get any royalties, which is bang out of order. I toss the phone aside. I pull open my bedroom door and take a step back when the shit that's been piling up on the other side begins to fall in on me. First, it's the lamp, then the end table it was resting on, then the end table the lamp and the other end table were piled on top of. Damn it, Warren. These pranks are starting to get out of hand. Comedy. Sydney, can you look out your balcony door and tell me if you see anything suspicious going on in my apartment? Shit, does she know? What does she want me to tell her? I know it's selfish, but I really don't want to talk to her about her boyfriend until after I have the chance to talk to her about the lyrics. Selfless. All of this in retrospect is wild, by the way, because Ridge is very selfish and self-serving, and it's all just like right there in the beginning. He's only like looking at what he can get out of Sydney first before turning her life upside down. Ridge's girlfriend Maggie tells him to tell Sydney the truth. I'm not sure how to say this, Sydney. You're not driving right now, are you? Oh, geez. There are other people there, aren't there? Lots of them? No, there isn't anyone there but the two of them. First, I need to apologize for not telling you this sooner. I didn't know how because we didn't know each other that well. Second, I'm sorry for doing it on your birthday of all days, but I feel like an ass for even waiting this long. And third, I'm sorry you have to find out via text, but I don't want you to have to walk back to your apartment without knowing the truth first. You're scaring me, Ridge. I'm just going to rip the band-aid off, okay? Something has been going on between your roommate and your boyfriend for a while. Who texts like this? Because it's really pulling me out of the moment. You should see the way that I text because it's not this composed. Where are the memes? Where's the typos? Ridge, they've been friends for longer than I've even known Hunter. I think you've misinterpreted everything. If sticking your tongue down someone's throat while straddling him is friendship, then I'm sorry. Wow, what a delicate, compassionate, and empathetic way to handle this type of situation. With friends like these. Chapter 4, Sydney. Tori came into the room crying. She tried to tell me it meant nothing, that sex has always been a casual thing between them, even before they met me. Hearing her say it meant nothing to them hurt worse than anything. If it meant something to either of them, at least I could vaguely understand their betrayal. But the fact that she was claiming it meant nothing, yet it still happened, hurt me more than anything else she could have possibly said at that moment. I'm pretty sure that's when I punched her. Yeah, people who cheat always say it meant nothing. Well, it clearly meant something if it's worth risking your relationship over. It doesn't help matters that I lost my job just minutes after Ridge told me about Hunter and Tory. I think it's frowned upon in most libraries when student workers begin crying and throwing books at the wall in the middle of their shift. But I can't help the fact that I happened to be stocking the romance section the second I found out my boyfriend of 2 years was sleeping with my roommate. The sappy romantic covers on the cart in front of me just really pissed me off. See? Coho characters are more like movie characters than actual people. Why is that? Is it because she wants her books to be easily adapted into films? Is she thinking that far ahead? Let me know your theories down below. Sydney moves around, which, fair enough, except the plot point of this book is Ridge and her have an affair, so sympathy denied. I sent this to a few people to see if it was just me that couldn't read properly. Listen to this. And what better way to feel sorry for myself than while getting drunk? Because, on Goodreads, right? Even the 1-star reviews, people will be like, oh, I hated the plot and I hated the characters. But still, Colleen Hoover, she's a wonderful writer. She's a good writer. She's a fantastic writer. Oh, the way her writing flows, blah, blah, blah. Don't even make sense, mate. Don't even make sense. Ridge appears. He's in a faded t-shirt and jeans and he's barefoot. Co-host foot fetish appears. The crowd goes wild. Sydney doesn't look at Ridge because she's embarrassed, so he texts her to prove a point. What point? No idea. Scientists are still trying to work that one out. Here's the plot twist. Yeah. The infamous Coho plot twist. He's deaf. So that's why we have the texting throughout the entire book, which I'm not against inclusivity or representation. I'm against Coho using any opportunity to be pretentious. As in, write pretentiously. Because Ridge, he's so pretentious, man. And the whole texting format, it's just annoying. It's like the emails of 50 Shades of Grey, but somehow worse. I stare at my phone, sinking into a heap of embarrassment. I'm not sure how to feel about this. I'm sure that feeling betrayed isn't a fair response, but I can't help it. I feel I need to tack this onto the ways the world can betray Sydney on her birthday list because he's deaf and he didn't tell her because they'd never met before. That's the world betraying this. What a twat. Not only did he not tell me he knew my boyfriend was screwing around on me, but he also failed to mention he's deaf. Not that being deaf is something he should be obliged to tell me. I don't know. I feel a little hurt that he didn't share that fact with me. His being deaf is not about you. Why didn't you tell me you were deaf? Why didn't you tell me you could hear? I tilt my head as I read his text and flood with even more humiliation. He makes a very good point. No, he doesn't. It's not a good point because the majority of people can hear. He's like this bit of a contrarian. Not that that's always a bad thing. I'm a man, so I'm logical. We'll get into it later. Pretentious person. So it's not a good point. But I feel like if I criticize Coho's points too much on this, then I'm heading into cancellation territory. But she's just trying to be pretentious. Source, trust me, bro. They drink whiskey and get to know each other. Ridge, because you're basically asking me the same questions as anyone else who initially finds out I can't hear. It's the same conversation, just different people. This comment bothers me because I don't want to seem like those kind of people at all. It has to get old having to field the same questions over and over. And I know exactly what he means here, actually, because whenever I meet new people and, you talk about what you do and stuff, I tell them I'm a YouTuber, they always go, oh, so you're a vlogger. And I'm always like, no, I used to make fun of the vloggers. And I have this kind of Groundhog Day repetitive, and I sort of have this Groundhog Day repeating the same conversation I've had 100 times. Honestly, sometimes, if I know I'm not going to see this person again, sometimes I just lie and say that I do something else, like something boring. I just hate repetition. So basically what I'm trying to say here is Ridge and I have the exact same struggles. Ridge offers her to stay at the flat for free in exchange for writing lyrics for the band. No, I don't even know you. Besides, your Hooter's girlfriend already hates me. Lady, you don't have a choice. Also, what did she do? What did Harris do to you, babe? They go back to her apartment to get her purse. Ridge, I can't help but appreciate the fact that she doesn't respond to my being deaf the way I expect her to. Most people become uneasy once they aren't sure how to communicate with me. The majority of them raise their voices and talk sort of slowly, like Bridget. So Sydney's not like the other girls because she's not an idiot. I walk back down the stairs and grab her hand, then smile at her reassuringly. I tug on her hand. She takes a deep breath and walks with me up the stairs. Okay? Sydney stays back whilst Ridge gets the purse. Hunter asks if Ridge is banging Sydney. We don't know Ridge's response yet, but Hunter hits him. Sydney grabs her purse and hits Tori again. Hunter tries to step in front of Sydney to block her from leaving, so I tap him on the shoulder. Of course Hunter tries to do that. It's a move from the Coho male lead playbook. Ridge hits Hunter and they run away back home. What an asshole. I'm not sure what Sydney saw in him, but the fact that she dated him makes me question her judgment a little bit. Victim blaming. They clean each other up from the fight. My hands are clenching the countertop behind me. I become increasingly uneasy with how comfortable she is with all this. Thoughts of Maggie flash through my head, and I can't help but wonder if she'd be okay with this scenario if she were to walk through the front door right now. They go for birthday cake, chapter 5. I guess Ridge sees the look on my face because he puts his arm around me and briefly squeezes my shoulder. He drops his arm and pulls his phone out. Ridge, for what it's worth, she doesn't deserve you. Yeah, very handsy considering they've just met. Also, you don't know that. She could be an arsehole. They then concoct a revenge plot against Hunter together. And I don't want to be dramatic, but I'm going to be. This is already an emotional affair and it's only been a few hours. Let me explain. In what universe would a significant other be fine with their partner meeting someone new, asking them to move in, drinking together before rescuing their stuff from an ex and hitting said ex, touching each other up so much, going out for dinner, and then coming up with a revenge plan against the ex and delivering it all within one day? Brand new person as well. Brand new. Not a long-standing friend. That's different. If a boyfriend did all of that to me, I'd be like, are you joking? Why do you care about this person so much already? Does she have big tits? Being nice, my ass. Anyway, they buy fish and duct tape and then duct tape the raw fish under Hunter's car seat. His car is going to smell like death in a matter of 24 hours. He'll never find it. Yeah, won't find it. Hidden away under a car seat. Even Sherlock won't be able to think of that one. Sydney goes to bed and has a good old cry. Crying is the main theme of this book, by the way, next to cheating is okay as long as he says he loves you. Some bloke eating cereal wakes her up. He turns his gaze back to mine with a mischievous grin. That's Bridget, he whispers. She pretends to hate me during the day, but at night she loves me. I laugh, not really trusting that Bridget is capable of loving anyone. Why? Is this all just solely based on the fact that she works at Hooters? Coho, are you okay, babe? Do you want someone to talk to? Granted, please don't talk to me, but Bridget still thinks that Sydney is deaf and they don't correct her. The serial bloke, Warren, asks Sydney a few questions and then is all, well, you can stay here. Okay. I want to say that Rich is the problem. He's been nice, but I think that might be the issue. I've been single for less than 24 hours. I don't like the fact that although I should have been consumed with nightmares about Hunter and Tori all night, instead I had a slightly disturbing dream involving an extremely accommodating Rich. Jesus Christ. Be single. Go on a few dates. Don't jump on the next man you see. She moves in with them. I run to the dresser and look in the mirror for the first time today. Written across my forehead in black ink, it says, someone wrote on your forehead. This is another theme. Pranks. Ridge is texting his girlfriend Maggie, who is stressed out writing a thesis. Maggie, stop. Me. I can't, Maggie. You know how I feel. I'm not keeping my opinion to myself when we both know I'm right. This is exactly why I never whine to you about it, because it always comes back to the same thing. I asked you to stop. Please, Ridge, stop. I had no idea what this was implying. Probably that she should give up because hard work is for suckers. But I now do know what he's implying, and guess what? He's still wrong. Let her live her life how she wants. He tells Maggie about Sydney, at least. I stand up and put my phone in my back pocket, then walk to my bedroom door. When I swing it open, I've met with a smell that I'm positive is exactly what heaven will smell like. Bacon. Basic bitches. Do you also hate pineapple on pizza and like cat memes? Shut up. Warren looks up at me from the dining table and grins, pointing to his plate full of food. She's a keeper, he signs. The eggs suck, though. I'm only eating them because I don't want to complain, or she might never cook for us again. Everything else is great. Yes, women good, because women cook food for man folk. Sydney smiles. So I smile back. That is riveted, babes. Riveted. And don't look right now, Rich, but did you see what she's wearing? Did you see that dress? He bites knuckles on his fist and winces. The urge I just had then to throw this glass against the wall, as if simply looking at her is causing him actual physical pain. I shake my head and take a seat across from him. I'll look later. He grins. I'm so glad her boyfriend cheated on her. Otherwise, I'd be eating leftover toothpaste-filled Oreos for breakfast. So Warren is lovely. This was the best decision we've ever made, he says. Maybe later we can talk her into vacuuming in that dress while we sit on the couch and watch. I said that out loud, didn't I? Warren asks. I nod. He looks at Sydney as she's still glaring at him. At least I was complimenting you, he says with a shrug. She laughs and nods once as if he just made a good point. Pick me. Sydney, don't eat the eggs. I poured dish soap and baby powder into them. It'll teach him not to write on my forehead again. Wow, amazing prank, bro. It feels like I'm on 2016 YouTube again. It feels like Sam, Pepper, and Vitaly are still around.
How you doing?
Pranked, bro. Pranked.
Why does Bridget think Sydney is deaf? Warren laughs. We don't know, he says, but we don't feel like correcting her just yet. I laugh on the outside, but inside, I'm a little confused. I don't know when Warren began referring to himself and Sydney as we, but I'm not sure I like it. Go dick swing somewhere else. After breakfast, Sydney begs to hang out of Ridge to keep her mind off of Hunter. I tried not to take Warren's advice this morning about admiring her dress, but it was hard not to look, especially when he so blatantly pointed it out. I'm starting to get a headache. She's done it. She's finally fucking killed me. About goddamn time. I'm not sure what kind of weird thing he and Bridget... I mean, she'd do me a favour, really, if she does manage to kill me with her writing. I'm not sure what kind of weird thing he and Bridget have going on, but it rubs me the wrong way that he and Sydney seem to have hit it off as well. And it really rubs me the wrong way that it rubs me the wrong way. I don't look at her like that, so I don't understand why I'm sitting here thinking about it. And if she was standing next to Maggie, there wouldn't be a doubt in my mind that Maggie is more physically my type. Maggie is petite with dark eyes and straight black hair. Sydney is the complete opposite. She's taller than Maggie, pretty average height, but her body is a lot more defined and curvy than Maggie's. Sydney definitely fills out the dress well, which is why Warren liked it. Bro, shut up. Shut up. Go text your girlfriend. Sydney, is there a way we can chat on the computer? It's a lot easier for me than texting. Me, sure. What's your last name? I'll friend you on Facebook. Who says anything other than I'll add you on Facebook? Like, who even writes like ChatGPT, I swear. Sydney is feeling emotional over her breakup, obviously, but she's a woman, so she's just being irrational and emotional, whereas Rich is a bloke, so he's cool and works only on logic and robotics. Don't believe me? Me. You only missed the idea of him. You weren't happy with him even before you found out he was cheating. You were only with him because it was comfortable. You just missed the relationship, but you don't miss Hunter. Sydney. How can you say I wasn't happy with him? I was. Until I found out what he was doing, I honestly thought he was the one. Me. No, you didn't. You wanted him to be. That's not how you really felt. Sydney. You're kind of being a jerk right now. You know that? I don't know about you guys, but I love my men to have zero emotional intelligence. It's just like so masculine and dreamy. Anyway, Rich knows Sydney better than she knows herself because he's smart and she's a stupid woman. The evidence he has are the lyrics that Sydney wrote for his first song. I'm upset. I'm getting upset. You don't know me like you think you do. I pour me one when I really want two. Oh, you're living a lie. Living a lie. You think we're good, but we're really not. You could have fixed things. You missed your shot. You're living a lie. I want to die. You see, she wrote these lyrics unaware that they were a subconscious metaphor for her life because she lacks introspection, intelligence, whatever. But that's okay because Ridge has all the IQ that Sydney needs. She picks up the pen and begins writing. They're just words, Ridge. I reply, they're your words, Sydney. Words that came from you. You say you feel lost about him, but you felt lost even when you were with him. Read the rest. See, he has logicked her. Get wrecked, Sydney. You aren't allowed to feel lost that the two closest people in your life betrayed you. Get over it already. Chapter 6, Sydney. Oh, wow. Ridge is absolutely right. I wrote these lyrics weeks ago, longer before I knew about Hunter and Tori. See? What a stupid little woman. I mean, look at the lyrics. You think we're good, but we're really not. You could have fixed things, but you missed your shot. You're living a lie. That's not subtle. Dingbats, absolute idiots everywhere.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
Well, you claim to not know me very well, but you seem to know me better than I know myself. Fuck off. Ridge, I only know what you told me in those lyrics. Speaking of which, you feel like running through them? I was about to compile them with the music to send to Brennan like a usual ears. Pun intended. I laugh and elbow him. Maggie is punching the air right now. He plays guitar for her and she sings. But how? If you can't hear, how do you know what sounds good and what doesn't? I don't need to hear it. I feel it. Ridge laughs, then scoots back on the bed until his back meets the headboard. He sits straight up and holds his guitar to his side. He spreads his legs, then pats the empty spot between them. What the hell? I hope my eyes aren't open as wide as I think they are. There's no way I'm sitting that close to him. I shake my head. He rolls his eyes and picks up his phone. Ridge, come here. I want to show you how I feel it. Get over yourself and stop thinking I'm trying to seduce you. By the way, he's not told her that he has a girlfriend yet, which is 100% lying by omission because it would have naturally come up by now. She's been living there for at least a week, maybe even 3 weeks at this point, I'm not sure. It would have naturally come up at least once. He's awful. I hesitate a few more seconds, but the agitation on his face makes me think I'm being a little immature. Did he just gaslight her into thinking that like is fine. I crawl forward, then turn around and carefully sit in front of him with my back to his chest, but with several inches between us. He pulls the guitar in front of me and wraps his other arm around me until he's holding it in position. He pulls it closer, which pushes me flush against him. Ridge reaches down to his side and picks up his phone. And it's just cheating. He's just cheating now. Oh, I need to show you. What an excuse. What a load of crap. And no, cheating is not like just bang someone. I need to explain it. No, it's smarter than that. You understand. Because there's no way he's going to tell his girlfriend, yeah, I was just like, she was sitting like right on my cock. I was playing guitar on top of her. Bullshit. He plays guitar to try to get Sydney to feel the vibrations properly. Earplugs. He slides in behind me and I scoot back against his chest again, then put the earbuds in. I close my eyes and lean my head back against his shoulder. He wraps his arms around me and picks up his guitar, pulling it against my chest. I can feel his head rest lightly against mine, and the intimate way we're seated suddenly registers. I've never sat like this with someone I wasn't seriously dating. It's odd, because it seems so natural with him. It's gonna make me throw up again. Anyway, they stop dry humping, finally. Ridge. Actually, I can't differentiate the sounds of a voice. I've never felt a person sing the way I listen to a guitar. I can place vocals to a song and develop melodies because I study a lot of songs and I've learned which keys match up to which notes, which is written based on the written form of music. It doesn't just come naturally. I work hard at this. I love the idea of music, and even though I can't hear it, I've learned to understand and appreciate it in a different way. I've had to work harder at the melodies. There are times I'll write a song and Brennan will tell me we can't use it because it either sounds too much like an existing song or it doesn't sound good enough to hear in ears like I assumed it would. This is fair enough, right? But this is what Sydney thinks. He can downplay this all he wants, but I'm convinced I'm sitting to a musical genius. I hate that he thinks his ability comes from working so hard at it. I mean, I'm sure it helps because all talents have to be nurtured in order to excel, even the gifted. But his talent is mind-blowing. It makes me hurt for him knowing what he could do with his gift if he could hear. What are you talking about? Or it's better to just have a talent, not the hard work and discipline behind it. Hard work and discipline which shows character. Having a natural talent means nothing without hard work. There's probably loads of people who are naturally talented at acting who have never gotten anywhere with it because they've not been willing to get up at like 6 a.m. and go to the theatre and like rehearse like 6 hours straight and then do like a show every evening. You can't get anywhere on talent alone. Whatever. I think she's just being a contrarian, just to annoy me. Ridge writes music for his band, but he doesn't play with them. His brother Brennan is the lead musician. The bland band is called Sounds of Cedar. Sounds of Cedar. And Sydney has heard of them. Hunter is a big fan. OMG, I just realised I'm writing lyrics for Sounds of Cedar. I slide my laptop over, then roll onto my stomach and squeal into the mattress while I kick my legs up and down. I honestly hate you. I despise this character. And by extension, Hoover for writing this. Forcing me to read it. Forcing me to make fun of it. Sydney completely fangirls over Ridge now. She decides to decipher some of his previous lyrics. If I have to read them, so do you. I'm upset. Something. I keep on wondering why I can't say bye to you, and the only thing I can think of is the truth. It's hard to start over. Keep checking the review too, but something's coming. Something is right for you. Just wait a little longer. You'll find something you wanted, something you needed, something you want to have repeated. I have feelings all right. You'll find out you listened between all the kissing what made it work out of the music. I can't bother. You'll find out what you needed, basically. Which I bet is just about how he doesn't really love his girlfriend. Oh, actually, yeah. This is literally about how the spark between him and his girlfriend is dead and he's just got to keep waiting for Sydney. Literally, oh, shut up. Shut up, so annoyed. Me, I'm not fangirling, don't flatter yourself. I've witnessed how evil you can be with your revenge schemes. I've been exposed to your severe alcoholism, so I'm not as enamored with you as I could be. Ridge, my father was a severe alcoholic. Your jokes are a little off-putting. I look up at him apologetically and with a hint of embarrassment. I'm sorry. I was kidding. Ridge, I'm kidding too. Colleen thinks she's so edgy. They repeat that like so much to try to force chemistry, they have a sense of humor. Me, OMG, can I have your autograph? He rolls his eyes. Please, and can I have my picture taken with you? OMG, I'm in Ridge Lawson's bed. I'm laughing, but Ridge isn't finding me amusing. Ridge Lawson, will you sign my boobs? He pulls the lid off the marker, swiftly lunges across the bed, and knocks me back onto my back, bringing the marker to my forehead. He's trying to sign my face? I lift my legs up and create a barrier with my knees as I try to force his hands away. Damn it, he's strong. Oh my god, this is so Wattpad. This really is. It really is. He puts one of my hands under his knee and locks my arm to the bed. His other arm grabs my arm. His other arm grabs my arm. Because arms grab things. that's pushing his face away and pushes that hand to the bed too. I'm screaming and laughing and trying to turn my face away from him, but every time I move, the marker moves on my face while he tries to sign his name. I'm unable to overpower him, so I eventually sigh and hold my head still so he'll stop drawing all over my face. It's 100% just cheating. Just cheating. All this flirting and this close proximity and being all over each other. The moment she finds out he has a girlfriend, any reasonable person would go, okay, Simon, for that reason, I'm out. But she doesn't, because she's not reasonable. She leaves the bedroom pleased with herself and she sees Warren. Should have stayed in here and watched porn with me, he says, taking in the marker all over my face. So Warren sits in the living room and watches porn for hours on end. Like, not wanking, I'm assuming anyway, because he's in the living room, but just watching porn. And I was on Goodreads after I finished this, and I'm heartbroken to tell you guys, this is actually one of 3, this book. They actually made this into a series somehow. There wasn't even enough content for one book, let alone 3. But one of the books follows Warren, and apparently he watches the porn all the time because Bridget told him that she was in a porno once, so he's trying to find it, because that's not... Like, if you're already banging the person, why would you need to watch a porno of it? Whatever. I ignore his comment. Rich and I just finished discussing TV rules. I lie. I get Thursdays. No, you don't, Warren says. Tomorrow's Thursday. I watch Thursday night porn on Thursday. He groans. Fine, you can have Thursdays, but any of you wear that dress you had on earlier. I laugh. I'm burning that dress. Rich. Warren is the manager for the band, and Rich didn't bother telling him about Sydney writing lyrics for them. We're not. She feels guilty, taking a percentage while she's not paying rent, so we're good for now. He's standing now, glaring down at me. How do you know you can trust her? And what if something happens with a song she held right? What if it makes the cut on the album and she suddenly decides she wants a percentage? And why the hell aren't you writing lyrics anymore? I sigh. We've been over this so many times it's making my head hurt. I can't. You know I can't. It's just for a little while until I get over my block. And calm down. She's agreed to sign over anything she helps with, which doesn't sound fair in the slightest. Like, what if the songs that she writes end up making loads of money and all she has to show for that is she had a little bit of free rent for a few months? Scummy. Scummy. Is sweet little Warren pouting? I lean forward and wrap my arms around his neck. And nope. It's just me saying that because I want to wrap my hands around my own neck right now. Is sweet little Warren pouting? I lean forward and wrap my arms around him and he tries to shove me off. I climb on top of him and kiss his cheek, and he starts kissing... No, he doesn't start kissing me. He starts hitting me in the, am I okay? Trying to pull away from my grasp. I laugh and let go of his face, then look up at Sydney, who just walked into the room. She's staring at us. Warren slides his hand up my thigh and lays his head on my shoulder. I reach up and pat his cheek while we both stare up at her straight face. She shakes her head slowly and walks back into her bedroom. As soon as her bedroom door closes, we separate. Okay. Warren shakes his head. No, that girl definitely needs me. I wonder how I can pull off an elaborate prank that involves her agreeing to have sex with me. Wonderful. Sydney, can I ask you a question? Me. As long as you promise never again to start a question off with whether or not you can propose a question. He's the worst. He's the worst. Sydney wants to know why Hunter punched Rich. I wrote, why do you think I'm here for a purse? I gave her 100 for tonight and now she owes me change. Ha ha ha, it's funny because I don't know.
I don't know.
Sydney comes out to slap his arms like a sissy girl before running off. Me. He is a jerk, but I probably should have responded differently. I'm sorry. Sydney. Yes, you should have. Maybe instead of insinuating that I was a whore, you could have gone with, if only I could be so lucky. Yes, that's it. It's funny, because women are whores. Chapter 7, Sydney. They're writing music together and Bridge wants to try something. I laugh, then look up at him. I nod, softly, scared of what he's about to try. He sits up on his knees and leans forward, placing both hands on my shoulder. I attempt to hold in my gasp, but it's a failed attempt. I don't know what he's doing or why he's getting so close to me, but holy crap. Holy crap. Why is my heart freaking out right now? I can't say that. He pushes me until I'm flat on his mattress. He reaches behind him, picks up his guitar, then lays it on the other side of me. He lies down next to me. Be for real. Like, who would do this anyway? He lowers his head to my chest, then presses his cheek against my shirt. Oh, this is great. Now he definitely feels how, freaked out. My heart is beating. Yeah, sure, Coho. He needs to have his head in her tits for the music. They almost kiss but get interrupted by a phone. Dad dead, then who was phone? It's Hunter wanting to talk. Rich. Stop with the guilt trip, Rich. You didn't do anything wrong. You aren't doing anything wrong. Your heart is beating like this simply because you've never felt anyone sing before. It was overwhelming. You had a normal reaction to an overwhelming event. That's all. Sure, buddy. Keep telling yourself that. This might be making her uncomfortable, but I have to get her to push through her discomfort because I can't think of any other situation where I'd be able to do this. What a pleasant man. They do the weird lying down singing hug thing again. Like, what the hell type of sentence did I just say? Hoover, you are driving me crazy. This should be criminal. Doing this to another person should be criminal. Anyway, doing this. Look at this. Look at this. Face getting more orange by the minute. Hair being mental. Do you know what I saw last week? I saw Oppenheimer. Here's my review of it. Bit long, innit? 3 hours of people talking and then a quite underwhelming explosion. Rip Nolan, sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I'm not happy with Nolan. Not been happy with him since Tenet. Tenet, what a waste of time. Good one. Anyway, no, I'm going to get into it, right? Tenet. Oh, God. People, when that film came out, I remember, who was it? I think it was Tanya Burr writing on her story, being like, oh, it was such an amazing film, and I didn't really get all of it. Yeah, because, like, you're not meant to get it that much, right? Even in the film, one of the characters says, don't think about it, just feel it. Because Nolan just overcomplicated little rubbish. Reverse entry, my ass. Why am I so mad about Tenet? Because, I saw it twice, right? And what is this new thing of things being so loud and then everyone just like mumbles? What do you mean? Oppenheimer's like that too. It's full of people mumbling. Enough. Anyway, they fall asleep like this and wake up to someone outside the bedroom door. Rich thinks it's Maggie, so he physically forces Sydney into the bathroom, which connects to her room to escape. Who's Maggie? How the hell can she not remember? Oh, is it possible I've never mentioned Maggie to her before? I grabbed my phone again. My girlfriend. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way this guy just conveniently forgot to tell this girl for weeks that he has a girlfriend. There's no BFFR, Hoover, because it just would naturally come up, even in an offhand, oh, my girlfriend likes that film, or whatnot. It just would, unless someone is deliberately lying by omission. It's not Maggie outside the door, it's Warren, who knows Sydney spent all night in Rich's room. He brings his eyes back to mine. You can't do this, Rich. You made this choice for yourself years ago. I tried to tell you then what I thought about it, but you're in it now. And if I have to be the annoying friend to remind you of that, so be it. I wince because it kind of pisses me off how he's referring to my and Rag's relationship. Don't refer to my relationship with Maggie as being in it ever again. So they don't expand on this right now. And I was hoping it better not be some stupid plot twist. But in retrospect, knowing the plot twist, Warren's being, again, just having zero emotional intelligence. None of these men have emotional intelligence. They're just like logic driven. Oh, don't get in a relationship with someone if they're dying young, because what's the point? Oh, I told you so. Shut the fuck up. Who am I arguing with? I'm literally shadowboxing right now. Chapter 8, Sydney. How could he fail to mention in the 3 weeks I've been talking to him that he has a girlfriend? Wait, no, because they were talking for 2 weeks. No, she's only been living there for a week then. Whatever. She's mad at Rich, so he just comes into her room to demand to talk, because we love it when men do that. I have a girlfriend, yes, and you were in my room because we agreed to work on lyrics together. I don't recall anything happening between us last night to warrant this reaction from you, or am I mistaken? What an asshole. What a fucking asshole. None of their relationship has been appropriate for someone who has a girlfriend. None of it. Now the touching and hugging and scheming and whatever. Rich, yes, I tell her everything. Look, it wasn't an intentional omission, I swear. You and I have just never had a conversation where she came up. A conversation isn't necessary, but even just, as I said, a single offhand comment of like, oh yeah, my girlfriend, it is a deliberate omission. Either that, or he's so indifferent to his girlfriend that he just never thinks of her. I wonder which one it is, actually. He says sorry. Me, I feel like you almost made me a Tory. I absolutely would have kissed you last night, and the fact that I didn't even know you were involved with someone would have made me a Tory. I don't want to be a Tory, Rich. If he does.
That I'm not a Tory.
I can't tell you how much their betrayal hurts me, and I will never, ever do that to another girl, so that's why I'm upset. I don't even know Maggie, and yet you made me feel like I've already betrayed her, and as innocent as you may be, I'm blaming you for that one. Spoiler alert, she becomes a Tory and induces austerity measures on everyone. Rich, I don't even know what to say right now other than I'm sorry. You're right. Even though I thought you know about Maggie, I can absolutely see what you're saying. But I also need you to know that I would never do something like that to her. Spoiler alert, he does, in fact, do that to her. Anyway, Sydney just believes and forgives him because she has terrible judgment. Rich, I'm excited for you to meet her. I really think you'll like her. What a sociopath. Like, she's literally just admitted that she likes you. So I hate that my heart is wishing so bad that he didn't have a girlfriend. Maggie arrives. She's beautiful. She's also deaf, but she can hear. I think she just has hearing aids. She can hear somewhat. And she can speak, unlike, well, she chooses to speak, unlike Ridge. You must be the girlfriend, I say with feigned excitement. Is it feigned? Maybe not. Her entire demeanour is making me feel sunny and happy, and maybe I am a tiny bit excited to meet her. Make your mind up, you weird person. Anyway, Maggie is lovely. I have to be honest. It bothers me that he told her he took me out for cake. It bothers me because maybe he's right and he does tell her everything. It also bothers me that he... Fuck me. Do you know what I hate so much repetition. I really do. I can't even speak. That's how much I hate repetition. Don't want to reuse the same words that I just used. Well, I see it used everywhere because I swear it's taught in schools or something. You know, like people to do speeches or write speeches, repetition, drive the point across. I only point is driving across. I'm not dumb to head. I can hear things on the first time. But yes, I'm very sure that people get taught to use repetition in school. And I just see it all across social media when people think that they're like making some sort of TikTok that's like well smart in it, but it's just annoying. Oh, whatever. That's just my gripe. That's a me issue. It bothers me because he seems to tell me nothing. Not that I've earned that right from him. She's now gaslighting herself because he has 100% been leading her on. And yeah, you do have the right to know that the guy who has been inappropriately touching and hugging and put his head on your boobs and sleeping next to you has a girlfriend. You are owed the right of knowing at least that. Maggie arranges for all of them to go out as belated birthday celebrations for Sydney. Ridge bangs Maggie. Sydney is walking out of her bedroom, but I'm not sure if it's really Sydney. This girl isn't wearing baggy shirts or walking around with her hair pulled up and a naked face. This girl is wearing a strapless black dress that's anything but simple. Her blonde hair is down and thick, and I'm thinking it probably smells as incredible as it looks. She's playing dirty now. Sydney attempts a epic prank on Ridge and has replaced the alcohol with vinegar, but Maggie and Warren drink it instead. Honestly, it sounds like a laugh a minute around this flat. Chapter 9, Sydney. Sydney is miserable. Yeah, me too, babe. But now, watching him in the front seat was hand clasping Maggie's. I don't like it. Oh my fucking, the amount of fucking repetition. Are you fucking kidding me? Literally, flip off. I don't like how his thumb occasionally sweeps back and forth. I don't like the way she looks at him. I especially don't like the way he looks at her. I didn't like how he slipped his fingers through hers when we reached the bottom of the apartment stairs. I didn't like how he opened the door and placed his hand on her lower back while she climbed inside the car. Look, mind your own business. Why are you staring at someone else so much? You absolute freak. I didn't like how they had a silent conversation while he was putting the car in reverse. I didn't like how she laughed at whatever she said and then pulled her down to him so he could kiss her forehead. I don't like how all these things made me feel as though the only good moments I've had since the last week are now over. Get your own boyfriend then, you absolute loser. I thought the possibility would be there. I assumed that maybe someday, when I was ready, things could have developed between us. It said the title. They do that a lot, don't worry. Are you crying? Warren asks. No. He nods. Yes, you are. You're crying. Firstly, what a surprise. Secondly, amazingly emotional intelligence to just like point that out. So rude. These people are rude. Oh my god. I nod. Sounds like a plan. What kind of signal do I give you? I don't know. You can lick your lips seductively, maybe squeeze your breasts together. This is Warren, obviously, but Hoover, are you okay? Why do you write such pigs? Do you not know, like, anything else? Are you okay, babe? Are you okay? Warren and Maggie seem to have made a nice dent in the liquor stock, but Ridge hasn't had a drop. Other than a shot Warren persuaded me to take when we first arrived, I haven't had anything to drink either. Wow, that must mean they're soulmates. Sydney is miserable, and Ridge tells her Warren is in love with Bridget. Also, Maggie has mild hearing loss, hence why she can talk, but Ridge is all I could speak if I wanted to. So, of course, there is a tragic backstory for this, and I don't mean to be so flippant. Yes, I do. But Coho adores trauma porn and tragic past in lieu of, I don't know, like actual character development. Trigger warning, child abuse. Basically, his parents are addicts, and couldn't be bothered to communicate with him properly and didn't like the way his voice sounded, nor bothered learning ASL. One day, his dad got so angry of hearing him try to talk that his dad hit his little brother Brennan and knocked Brennan out. Tears begin to well in my eyes and I have to inhale a calming breath. Okay. So after that day, Ridge never spoke out loud again. Sydney starts crying because of course she does, and Warren and Maggie reappear. I like that dress you wear, Sid, that blue one, but please don't wear it again. Warren is leaning his head against mine as we make our way downstairs. I don't like your ass in it because I think I might love Bridget, and your dress makes me love your... What a future sex offender. Warren steps forward and reaches up to Ridge's face. He patches Ridge's cheek and says, I feel bad for you, buddy. I bet it's really hard not to kiss Sydney because it's hard for me and I don't even like her like you do. Ridge reaches in front of me and pulls on the handle of the front passenger door, then opens it. I step forward, but the second Ridge's hand rests against my lower back, I pause. I glance up at him and he's looking straight down at me. His hand remains on my lower back as I force myself to slowly close the gap between myself and the car. The second I begin to lower myself in the seat, his hand slips away and he waits while I am all the way inside the car, then closes the door. I lean my head back into the seat and close my eyes, terrified of what that simple gesture just did to me. Jesus Christ, woman, go get laid. I don't like how every minute I spend with him, I feel more and more like a Tory. No, not a Tory, anything but that. Ridge, I've never told anyone that story, not even Brennan. He was probably too young to even remember it. He sets the phone down and puts the car in reverse and begins to back out. Why is it that the only question I wish to ask him right now is the most inappropriate one? I want to ask him if he's ever told Maggie, but his answer shouldn't matter to me. It shouldn't matter at all, but it does. What a pick me. He begins to drive and he reaches down and turns on the radio, which confuses me. He can't hear it, so I don't understand why he would care if it was on or off. But then I realise he didn't do it for himself. He turned it on for me. That is how the chapter ends, by the way, as if this final line is some monumental moment or change in their relationship. Co-home men really give absolutely fucking nothing and get so much celebration for it. Ridge. They go home and put the drunk people to bed. We're talking about you right now. If we're going to be working together, I need to know what I'm getting myself into. Tell me about your family. Any raging alcoholics? They both keep repeating this same term, raging alcoholics. And it's the most transparent attempt at forcing a private joke or chemistry I've seen in this book. And it really annoys it. It's not the joke itself that annoys me, because I'm not sensitive. Good one. But it's just the fact that like she's trying to force the you know what I mean? Force the relationship somehow. It's just annoying. Como is, for me anyway, she's this infuriating writer, and her popularity, the sheer popularity of this dross, makes me want to yeet myself from this planet. Put me on that spaceship going to Mars. Elon, please. They go on about Sydney's family life and it's boring, so I won't recap. If I were Hunter, I'd be punching myself in the face right now. Normal thing for someone in a relationship to say. I don't understand my sudden obsession with staring at her, but I can't seem to stop. She's several feet away. We aren't touching. We aren't speaking. She isn't even looking at me. Yet the simple fact that I'm staring at her makes me feel incredibly guilty, as if I'm doing something wrong. Staring is harmless, so why do I feel guilty? He's just sitting there staring at her, which isn't serial killer behavior at all. They fall asleep on the sofa together until Warren wakes him up and tells him to go sleep in his bed with his actual girlfriend. She smiles when she sees me. That's it. All she did just now was smile, but all of a sudden my chest is on fire, and it feels as if a wave of heat just rolled down the entire length of my body. Keep it in your pants. Chapter 10, Sydney. 2-week time skip. Ridge is away for a family emergency, and then he's suddenly back again, so whatever. Bridget is jealous of Sydney because she hangs out with Warren. Like, what an idiot. Who could be jealous of that? She spins around and eyes Warren. You think that's funny? She says to him. The girl obviously has it bad for you, and you can't even respect me enough to distance yourself from her until I'm out of the house. She turns her back to us again. First, she gives Ridge some sob stories so she'll have to let her move in. Now she's taking advantage of the fact that you know sign language so she can flirt with you. Bridget, stop. Warren isn't laughing anymore because he can see how white my knuckles are clasped around my book. I think he's afraid that Bridget is about to get hit upside the head with the hardback. He's right to be afraid, which that seems like a completely disproportionate response, but okay. Also, Warren is a complete pig, so it's not Bridget's fault in any way that she thinks he's hooking up with Sydney, considering that's how he acts and talks anyway. Shut up. But of course, let's just blame the woman for being crazy and irrational. Speaking of crazy and irrational, you stop, Warren, she says, turning back round to face him. Either stop crawling into bed with me at night or stop shacking up on the couch with her during the day. I drop my book onto my lap with a loud slap, then kick my feet up and down against the floor out of frustration, anger, and flat-out annoyance. I can't put up with this girl for another second. What is this imagery? She's kicking the floor? Do you mean stomping? Because she just sounds like an idiot. Congratulations. God, no, that's like, imagining that is pissing me off. These people are stupid. Bridget, please, I yell. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Christ, I don't know why you think I'm deaf, but I'm definitely not a whore. Bridget never said whore, so that sounds like projection to me. Bridget cocks her pretty little head. Bit patronising, mate. Bridget leaves. Well, Warren says, there goes my chance to act out all the role-playing scenes I've been imagining. Thanks a lot, Sydney. Screw you, Warren, I say, understanding a little bit where Bridget's attitude comes from. So Coho is at least somewhat aware that Warren is a pig, but no, it's women that are the crazy ones still. Bridget, a pillow meets the back of the door with a thud. Get the hell out of my room. I ignore her and open the door. So, ignoring women's private spaces and consent isn't just a coho male trait. Extends to the women as well. All these people make me violently ill. She's crying, and now I really feel shitty. You should. You are a shit person. I'm sorry, I say. She rolls her eyes and falls back onto the bed in a huff. You are not, she says. I don't blame you. I deserved it. I tilt my head. Did she really just admit that she deserved it? I'm not gonna lie, Bridget. You are kind of a bitch. She laughs softly, then folds her arm over her eyes. God, I know. I get so annoyed at people, but I just can't help it. It's not like my goal in life is to be a bitch. I lie back on the bed with her. So don't be one then. It takes way more effort to be a bitch than it does not to be one. We barely know enough about Bridget to make this assessment ourselves. All we know about her is she's sleeping with Warren, she works at Hooters, and she mistakenly thought that Sydney was deaf because both Ridge and Maggie are deaf. So was she really that wrong to assume? Maybe there was a bit of a presumption, sure, but it's not like a massive leap in logic to make, right? If Bridget is a bitch, it's because she's having to put up with Warren being a complete sleaze, so she drops her eyes to the floor and is quiet for several seconds, then looks back up at me. You know, most things people say when they're drunk are more accurate and honest than the things they say when they're sober. Side note, this seems to be a general consensus that drunk thoughts are sober thoughts or some crap. I don't think so. You know, because you aren't even your sober thoughts anyway. Thoughts are spontaneous or intrusive, and most of the time just a load of rubbish. Half of my thoughts are just a load of crap, right? Drinking just makes you more likely to say intrusive thoughts, which are spontaneous, or like make up a load of crap as well. Because how many times have some of you got drunk and then swore that the random person you met in the toilets at the pub was your new best friend and then never contacted them ever again because it just wasn't you in the first place? I've done that we used to do that a lot of times. It's a common enough thing. Was me drunkenly saying, oh, I love you so much, true? No, it wasn't. The fact is that drunkenness is not a passive process. It does not simply tear down our inhibitions, let loose dormant desires. It is an active chemical process counterintuitively fitting the definitions of stimulant and depressant. It changes nearly every part of our brain. Since our brain is who we are, alcohol does not simply let out our true unchanged selves. It changes who we are. Alcohol makes us happy, woozy, enthusiastic, gregarious, and loud. In some cases, an affable friend may become a mean drunk. It is a complicated drug with all sorts of good and bad effects, but it does not make us genuine, it just makes us dumb. So does a drunk mind speak a sober heart? No. When we drink, not even our hearts are sober. But then that doesn't mean that you can cheat on someone and blame it on the alcohol, because if you know that you have a propensity towards cheating whilst you're drunk, if you respect someone you're in a relationship with, don't get drunk. Like, if it's really going to make them, shut up. Anyway, Bridget takes Warren's face in her hands and he hesitantly brings his hands to her lower back. She sighs, staring him hard in the eyes. I can't believe I'm falling in love with such a stupid asshole, she says to him. We need Justin for Bridget ASAP. Anyway, Ridge is sad or something. I don't care. I don't care about him. Ridge and Sydney are writing lyrics together, but it's not productive. As soon as she disappears, I'm off the bed and digging through the trash can. I pull out her wadded up sheet of paper and take it back to the bed and unfold it. Watching him from here, so far away, want him closer than my heart can take. I want him here. I want maybe one of these days, some days. I'd run for him, if I could stand, but I can't make the demand. Why can't I? No, I can't be his right now. Why can't you take me away? Good Lord, what a sad little life, Sydney. They try writing again. Chapter 11, Sydney. She writes lyrics. I feel like an alien because I genuinely don't understand how any of this is enjoyable to read for anyone. They sit close and stare at each other. Ridge writes some lyrics too. For hair I bend, for you I break. Nose girl for 1 month. Oh my God, I can't. I didn't ask for this. I don't want this. But it feels so good. His words feel good. His closeness feels good. His eyes searching mine make my heart go haywire. For the life of me, I can't figure out how something that feels like this can be so wrong. I'm not a bad person. Ridge isn't a bad person. Yes, you are. You are both having an emotional affair behind a girl's back who has been nothing but nice to you. Which, like, okay, right, I'm going to go there. You know, sometimes stuff like that happens. More often than not, I guess. And bad actions don't mean that you're a bad person forever. People can change. But considering that she's just had this done to her by her ex-best friend, and now she's doing the same thing within a few weeks of her breakup, don't look great, does it? You can do it. Some people might judge you. How can two good people who both have such good intentions end up with feelings derived from all the goodness that are so incredibly bad? If you need to tell people that you're a good person, then spoiler alert, maybe you aren't. That's why I always tell you lot that I'm an awful person. Reverse psychology, innit? Ridge. I already beat up my conscience enough while I was writing the rest of the lyrics down. However, the fact that I was more than likely writing about her didn't seem to stop me, because the only thing on my mind was the fact that I was actually writing. I haven't been able to write lyrics in months. In just a matter of minutes, it was as if a fog had lifted and the words began to flow effortlessly. I'd have kept going if I didn't feel like I'd already gone way too far. See, it's okay to lie and cheat on your partner if the person you're cheating with is your muse. Totally justifiable. Brennan, looking at it now, I hate to admit this, but I think you were right about her. She really was sent to Earth just for us. And I just realized how formulaic every single coho female lead is. They all have this special something that they are the best at, so talented and gifted in one particular way. Sydney, writing lyrics. The woman from Verity who wasn't Verity, writing. Verity, writing. Lily Blossom Bloom, flowers. November 9 girl, acting. Layla, don't remember. Ugly Love, obsessing over a pathetic man. It's just rinse and repeat all of her formulas. Brennan makes a rough acoustic version of the song Maybe Someday, and Sydney cries over it because of course she does. Never in all my life and all my years of living in a world of silence have I ever wanted to hear something as much as I want to hear her sing right now. I want to hear her so badly it physically hurts. The walls of my chest feel as if they're closing in on my heart. I don't even realise that my hand has moved to her chest until she turns to me startled. I shake my head, not wanting her to stop. She nods slightly, but the beat of her heart against my hand is increasing by the second. I can feel the vibration of her voice under my palm, but the material between my hand and her skin hinders my ability to feel her the way I want to. I move my hand upward until it's at the base of her throat, and then I slide it up even farther until my fingers and palm are flush against her neck to try and strangle her. I scoot closer to her so my chest is pressed against her side because the overwhelming need to hear her is completely taken over, and I don't allow myself to think about where the invisible lines are drawn. Now there's an excuse for wanting to have a little spoon with a girl. There's no other way to describe how I feel. I know that the way I think about her and feel about her is wrong, but I struggle so much with how right it feels when I'm with her. Then dump your girlfriend, bro. It's really not that difficult. She's no longer singing. My hand is still wrapped around her throat. What? Anyway, they touch each other up for a bit before finally kissing. Ever heard of the expression, if they cheat with you, they'll cheat on you? So I wonder if Coho has. My tongue is exploring the incredible way hers dances against mine to a song only our mouths can hear. Wow, Coho, you just killed my sex drive for good. Thank you. I grip her waist tightly as my heart begins to tear in two, half of it remaining where it's always been, with Maggie, and the other half being pulled to the girl beneath me. Nothing in my life has ever felt so good, yet hurt so achingly bad. Shut up. You aren't some bleeding heart romantic with too much love to give. You are just a horny, dishonest scumbag. They stop kissing, so Sydney starts crying. I've done the one thing I promised her I would never do. I just made her a Tory. Am I meant to feel bad for her? She did it to herself. Rich leaves Sydney crying by herself, because of course he does. Chapter 12, Sydney. Sydney is sulking in her room. The closer he moved, the longer we stared at each other, the more my body was consumed by need. It wasn't a basic need, like a need for water when I'm thirsty or a need for food when I'm hungry. It was an insatiable need for relief, a relief from the want and desire that had been pent up for so long. I never realized how powerful desire could be. It consumes every part of you, enhancing your senses by a million. When you're in the moment, it enhances your sense of sight, and all you can do is focus on the person in front of you. Enhances your sense of smell, and suddenly you're aware of the fact that his hair has just been washed and his shirt is fresh out the dryer. Get a grip, please. Please get a grip, I beg of you. What happened between us didn't happen because we were weak. Ridge didn't run his hand up my jaw and around the back of my head simply because I was in front of him and he was in the mood to make out. He didn't press his body against mine because he thinks I'm attractive and knew it would feel good. He didn't part my lips with his because he enjoys kissing and knew he wouldn't get caught. Despite how hard we tried to fight it, all of those things happen between us because our feelings for each other are becoming so much more stronger than our desire. Desire is easy to fight, especially when the only weapon desire possesses is attraction. It's not so easy when you're trying to win a war against the heart. Oh, okay, guess that makes it fine then. Fuck Maggie's heart, am I right? Sydney goes to the kitchen, but Maggie is in there with Ridge. Maggie nods and takes a step back towards Ridge. She circles her arms around his neck and he wraps his arms around her waist. Two simple movements that completely shatter entire sections of my heart. I literally don't care, babes. She leaves and they go to Ridge's room to talk. Maggie showed up last night, an hour after I got back to my room. I was convinced you were going to barge in and tell her what a jerk I am for kissing you. Then in the kitchen earlier, when I saw you were standing outside your door, I was bracing myself. I would never tell her that, Ridge. Thank you. Neither of them will tell her because they both want to have an affair. Fuck off. Sydney admits she likes Ridge and thinks they would be good together, but she wants to be single because she's still dealing with her breakup and she will leave the apartment if Ridge wants her to. Whereas Ridge says this. I have no idea what's going through your head, but I have to say this, Sydney. No matter how I feel about you or how much I think we could work, I will never ever leave her. I love her. I've loved her since the moment I met her, and I'll love her until the moment I die. Yep, sure does love her. That's why he's been cheating with another girl, to show his love. But he wants to have his cake and eat it too. But please don't let that take away from how I feel about you. I never thought it was possible to have honest feelings for more than one person, but you've convinced me of how incredibly wrong I was. I'm not going to lie to myself and say I don't care about you, and I'm not going to lie to you. I just hope you understand where I'm coming from and that you will give us the chance to navigate through this, because I believe we can. If there are two people in this world capable of figuring out how to be friends, it's us. What a load of crap. He wants her to hang about in case it goes tits up with Maggie, and Hoover cannot convince me of this otherwise. I never for 1 second expected him to contemplate leaving Maggie for me. That would be the worst outcome of all of this. If he left her and we attempted to build a relationship from that, it would never work. The entire relationship would be built on betrayal and deceit, and those two things have never made and will never make for a good foundation. He's already cheated on her with Tori, so the chances of him staying faithful, no, not Tori, Sydney. The chance of him staying faithful to Sydney in a future relationship doesn't look great. I'm sure it's possible. I've just personally never seen it happen. Me, hold on. I never said I wasn't concocting an evil revenge scheme. Also, while we're being so blunt, can I ask you a question? What did I tell you about initiating a question with whether or not you can propose a question? Sydney, please get better taste in men. I beg you. Me, I'm concerned. We obviously have an issue with the fact that we're attracted to each other. How do we get past that? I want to write music with you. But I also know that the few moments we've had that have made me very happy have been all while I've been writing music. I think I'm just too desirable when I'm being creative. I'd want to know what I need to lessen my attractiveness, if that's even possible. Well, it's nice that she can joke about being the other woman. They tell each other their flaws to lessen the desire, if that has ever worked, and it's all just basic bitch stuff anyway. I press my lips together and nod. He releases my hand, and I walk back to my room, attempting to ignore that all the repulsive details in the world can stop my heart from reacting to that simple gesture. See, load of rubbish. Ridge. Didn't work for him either. Chapter 13. Sydney. They still practice together but sitting 5 feet apart, so I guess it's okay that he did cheat on his girlfriend, who cares? Sydney keeps fantasizing about Ridge in the shower. Hunter randomly appears. His dark hair is longer since I last saw him, and it reminds me that I'm always the one to schedule his hair appointments. The fact that he hasn't even bothered to make his own appointment makes him that much more pathetic to me. I think it's pathetic that you were doing that for him in the first place. Are you his mum? I'm sorry, Sydney, he says, spitting the words out fast and desperately. I'm so sorry. I know it won't make it better, but things have always been different between Tori and me. We've known each other for years, and I know it's not an excuse, but our relationship was sexual before you even met us. That's all it was. It was just sex, and once you were in the picture, neither of us could figure out how to just put a stop to something that had been going on between us for years. I know this doesn't make sense, but what I had with her was completely separate to what I had with you. I love you. If you'll give me just one more chance to prove myself, I'll never speak to Tori again. That is some fascinating mental gymnastics. Sydney doesn't know whether to punch him or kiss him because she's an idiot. Ridge enters so he and Hunter can dick swing like manly men. My lack of comprehension makes him laugh again. I'm trying to explain to you that what happened between Tori and me was strictly physical. It meant nothing to either of us, but you won't even try to understand my side of it. Yet you're practically eye-fucking your roommate who happens to be in love with another woman, and you don't see the hypocrisy in your actions. You can't tell me you haven't slept with him in the 2 months you've been here. How can you not see that what the two of you are doing isn't any different from what Tori and I did? You can't justify your own actions without forgiving mine. That is some mental gymnastics. Like, no one owes you forgiveness. Ridge has an amazing girlfriend and doesn't deserve to be cheated on, and luckily for her, he's the type who realizes her worth. With that being said, you're wrong about the fact I'm sleeping with him, because I'm not. We both know how unfair it would be to his girlfriend, so we don't act on our attraction. You should take note that simply because a girl makes your dick hard, that doesn't mean you have to go shove it inside her. Wait, how is this meant to make us like Sydney more? Oh, what a martyr. She won't fuck Ridge despite him giving her vagina flutters. Wow, what self-sacrifice. Shut up. Go, Hunter. Just go, I say, unable to look at him for another second. The simple fact that you thought he had Ridge pegged as being anything like him pisses me off, and he'd be smart to leave. I mean, Ridge is a rudimentary hunter. He's like a hunter light, so. Hunter leaves. Ridge is jealous Hunter came over, and all of these people give me a headache. Don't let him in here again. I wasn't planning on it. By the way, you're being kind of a jerk right now. He glances up at me and shrugs. It's my apartment. I don't want him here. Don't let him in again. Wow, good emotional intelligence, mate. Wait, emotions are only for women anyway, not logical men. Sydney gets upset. The tears begin to well in my eyes. You know, on Goodreads, the reviews for this, like everyone says, good Lord, this woman was like, I think someone calculated that this girl cries like once every 3 pages. On average, roughly, something like that. They really weren't lying. Ridge grabs my shoulder and turns me around. Of course he does. He tries to force Sydney to read his text, but she refuses. I tried to turn away from him, but he grabbed my arm and pressed it against the door, holding it forcefully while he writes on it. When I read this, the first time, it was the way that I let out an audible, oh, for fuck's sake, because there is genuinely not a single coho book without men forcibly manhandling women. Not one. Sydney has a cry and Rich cleans her arm. I think this is foreplay for them. They go write an angry song about Hunter. That'll show him. Rich. I love how she focuses so intently on the lyrics, as if she's in her own world and I'm just a lucky observer. Every now and then, she'll tuck behind her ear the hair that keeps spilling in front of her face. What a cliche. What person with long hair doesn't do that? Sharp. Rich keeps fantasizing about having sex with Sydney. I was having thoughts and feelings I know I shouldn't be having, and it was scaring the shit out of me. I've never had an issue of jealousy until now, and I don't like the person it's turning me into. I'm sure this just means that Rich has never been in true love because he doesn't act like an asshole, rather than it meaning maybe the situationship is toxic. More lyrics. Why don't we keep it simple? You talk to your friends, I'll be here to mingle. You know that I want to be right by your side, where I ought to be. And you know that I can see the way that your eyes seem to follow me. I can't imagine being the type of person who would enjoy reading books like this with fake lyrics like this. And do you know what? I'm glad I'm not that person. And I must confess, it's killing me. My loneliness, my interest in the way that you move when you're in that dress. It's making me feel like I want to be the only man that you ever see. Whoa, oh, oh, I'm in trouble. Whoa, oh, oh, I'm in trouble now. I'm genuinely in pain and shock. It's just foreplay. What? It's just foreplay, but Hoover thinks she's being so deep and I'm going to cry. Foreplay? No idea. But it's art. Debatable. Chapter 14, Sydney. They are still writing lyrics together. Who wants to read this? And just like that, my defenses are down, and my willpower is shot to hell with his honest reply. I nervously pull my bottom lip in and chew on it, then slowly raise my eyes back to his. She is literally the insufferable female lead from an indie movie. The girl who is convinced that you're absolutely obsessed with her. She's a Delaney Rowe character.
Oh, shut up. I'm not mad. The way I see it, people are like chips. Spicy or acidic. But would it kill you to be sweet? Open them.
She's like, people are like pieces of bread. You get your thick, you get your thin cut, and then you get the piece of bread that have little seeds in that nobody really likes. She's like that. That was phenomenal. That was awful. I'm in pain at myself. I want to be Tori right now so much it hurts. I want to be just like her and not give a shit about my self-respect or Maggie for just a few minutes, long enough to allow him to do everything his lyrics make me feel. You already don't care about Maggie by having this like one-time physical but emotional affair. Rich eye fucks her for a bit and then goes into the bathroom, I presume, to have an angry wank in the shower. Wait, I was right about this, because he admits at the end where he's like, the first time I saw you and you were soaking wet from the rain, and I went to the shower and like basically he had a wank in the shower of her. Before Sydney, I'm a genius, leaves, she reads a text on Rich's phone from Maggie and whines that Maggie exists. Actually, I don't like that we did cross the line tonight. Although we aren't verbalizing what we're thinking and feeling, writing it in lyrics isn't any less harmful. Yeah, right. Imagine they played these songs and then Maggie heard the lyrics. What then? Brennan has already done a mock-up of the new song. The song begins to play and I spend the next 3 minutes barely breathing. Rich and I never once break our stare throughout the entire duration of the song. That just sounds like really awkward. Who stares like that? Rami Malek? Guess who gets to see me tomorrow? Kurt Vonnegut? Guess again. Anderson Cooper? Never close. Amanda Bynes? You're so random. You get to see me tomorrow and you get to spend a whole 2 days with me. And now I'm trying to save money, but I brought you 2 new bras. How did I ever get so lucky to find the one and only girl who supports and encourages my transvestite tendencies? What? Warren is having a birthday party, so Rich and Sydney are making cakes for him. The whole band? I get to meet the whole band? Yep, and I'll bet they'll even sign your boobs. Squee. Every single time I think that Coho can't get any worse, she exceeds my expectations. Anytime anyone's asked how I came up with the name of the band, I just say I thought it sounded cool, but I can't like Sydney. There's something about her that pulls stories out of my childhood out of me that I've never told anyone, not even Maggie. He says it's because Maggie has enough on her plate about his childhood trauma, which, wow, what a martyr he is. Despite this being the point of having a partner in the first place, someone to talk to about anything and everything you're comfortable with. This particular night, we were writing a song from scratch, and we couldn't communicate well enough to understand it. I needed to hear her, and although we were both reluctant, it ended up with my head pressed to her chest and my hand resting against her throat. While she was singing, she casually brought her hand to my hair and was twirling her fingers around. Why am I reading a book about two idiots justifying their affair? It's not engaging, it's not challenging my worldviews. It's making me double down on the thought that Coho sure does love justifying cheating for some reason. Bit sus. Whatever is going on between us, I know Maggie wouldn't approve, and I try to do right by my relationship with her. However, since I can't redefine where the line is drawn between inappropriate and appropriate, it makes it hard to stay on the right side sometimes. What a load of crap. Mr. Intelligent isn't aware of when he's being inappropriate. Pull the other one. Like, what the fuck do you even mean? Oh, I don't know if it's inappropriate for me to have my head in her tits to listen to her heart whilst we're making music? Shut up. Here's the line. If you don't tell your partner what you're doing because you think that they might react badly or might not like it, maybe that's inappropriate then. You know, he's not telling Maggie because she won't approve because he is being all over another girl. Good Lord. I'm staring down at my phone about to text her, and she's leaning behind me, both of her hands kneading the tension out of my shoulders. With as much writing as we've been doing, the fact that I sit on the floor now instead of the bed, I've had a few issues with my back. It's become natural for her to rub it when she knows it's hurting. Would I let her do this when Maggie was in the room? Hell no. Do I stop her? No. Should I? Absolutely. If this book was a person, I'd punch it. I knew without a doubt that I don't want to cheat on Maggie. I've never been that type of guy, and I don't ever want to be that type of guy. You already are. I bet he thinks it's not cheating if you're on holiday either. Chapter 15, Sydney. Ridge is giving the backstory of the name of Sounds of Cedar. It's because his parents used to throw parties and he'd listen to the cedar floor to tell when they were done so he'd go check on Brennan. I don't even realise how on edge I am until I see the white in my knuckles as I grip the phone, who remains still for several moments. That does seem like a disproportionate response. Okay. Ridge has never told anyone else this story, but Sydney is just that special. His eyes are fixed on my mouth, and he quietly swallows. Then he reaches beside him and picks up his phone. Hurry, Sid. I need a serious flaw, and I need it now. This is how they spend all of their time together, by the way. Either writing lyrics and being all over each other, or wishing they could just fuck each other and having to stop themselves every single time. If you need to physically stop yourself from cheating, just end the relationship, because you kind of already have crossed that line. Do I finally get to meet the raging alcoholic side of you tomorrow night? Hoover tries to force chemistry so badly that she'd mix vinegar and bleach together just for a reaction. What? If you weren't already convinced that Sydney is a lobotomite, here's example A. You haven't. I mean, don't get me wrong. It would help if you weren't so attractive, but I'm hoping Brennan looks a lot like you. That way, when you're shacking up with Maggie tomorrow night, I can have drunk, wild fun with your little brother. Great joke, mate. Who doesn't love hearing that their crush would want to fuck their sibling? Entirely normal behaviour. And therein lies the problem, Sydney. You should be able to screw whoever you want to screw, and I shouldn't give a shit. I suck in a breath. At first it pisses me off, but then I focus on the one word that reveals the entire truth behind a statement. Shouldn't. He didn't say I don't give a shit. He said I shouldn't give a shit. I look up at him and his face is so full of pain it's heartbreaking. He doesn't want to feel like this. I don't want him to feel like this. What the hell am I doing to him? We were only halfway through this book and I'm so bored of it. It's the same repetitive moaning shit. The forced proximity and excuses for touching, Sydney crying, jealousy, wanting to bang, feeling miserable about the feeling what I wanted to bang. I hate it. They hug and Sydney thinks, ooh, maybe someday. Like, are we meant to be rooting for her to play a part in destroying someone else's relationship? I don't understand. They get interrupted by Warren. I'm only going to say this once, I need you to listen, Warren says. He still isn't facing us, but I'm the only one in the apartment who can hear him, so I know he's directing his comment to me. He will never leave her, Sydney. And then she cries about it. This book is a joke. Co-host popularity is a joke. Rich. I didn't like feeling that way. I should probably encourage Brennan. Maybe it would be better for my relationship with Maggie if Sydney actually started dating someone else. Whoa. The wave of jealousy that just rolled over me felt more like a tsunami. Well, thank you for telling us that instead of showing us. Sydney is wearing a dress again, so Ridge checks her out. That, like, this book, man, a minute, innit? That's when both halves of my heart, which are somehow still connected by a small invisible fibre, snap apart and separate completely. Maggie is standing in front of the bathroom door, eyeing me hard. It's actually comical that a girl he's known for all of a month takes up the same amount of space in his heart as his girlfriend of 5 years. Sorry, did I say comical? I meant to say fuck off. Maggie notices something is off, so he's all affectionate with her in front of Sydney, who acts like everything's okay, but then Maggie starts being more touchy-feely with him more than usual. I promise you all that this boy is not worth it, ladies. I laugh and cup my hands around Maggie's backside and scoot her over a little closer. I let go and bring my hands back around in front of her and answer her. I walked out my room to a rear end pointed towards my bedroom door. I'm a guy. Guys notice things like that, unfortunately. Being a guy has nothing to do with that, to be honest, right? If I walked out of this room, like, I opened the door and there was just an arse in the hallway pointing at me, I'd look too, because, like, well, that's where I'm going. That's where my eyeline is. I'd probably be like, who the hell's arse is this in my hallway? Who has such, like, a weird boys will be boys mentality, but any girl who enjoys casual sex is automatically a whore? Or any girl that, works at Hoover's. It's so weird. And noticing that there's, like, a butt sticking out somewhere has nothing to do with, like, being a man or being a woman. Anyone would notice that. Maggie is now insecure because of this arsehole. She asks, does Sydney know about me? And Ridge is like, oh my god, no. And I say here, I bet this is some stupid fucking twist again. Maybe she's been dead the whole time. She'd be the lucky one if so. This girl still has no idea how far I'll go for her. Well, you won't go as far as staying committed to her, so... Anyway, this was my prediction here. Maggie is terminally ill, and that's why Ridge won't ever leave her, because she's going to die, like, in a year anyway, and that's why he's against her doing a thesis because he thinks it's a waste of time. I'm going to be absolutely furious if I got that right. Chapter 16, Sydney. Someone is removing Sydney's clothes and she can't remember what's going on. Okay, trigger warning. Oh my god, I'm drunk and someone is undressing me. I'm about to be raped. It's Maggie doing it. Why in the hell is she taking off my clothes? Oh my god, Maggie wants to rape me. That is some sense of humour you've got there, Coho. So Sydney is covered in her own vomit and Maggie is trying to help her get cleaned up by undressing her. She looks at my bra and underwear. Where'd you get that bra? It's so cute. JCPenney. Oh, Ridge likes the one that clasps in the front, but yours is really cute. I want one. You should get one, I say smiling. We could be bra twins. Maggie takes Sydney to Ridge to show off Sydney's bra. And Sydney is all, oh my god, Bridget is jealous of me because my bra is cute. Yeah, right, you little rat. You can't polish a turd. Also, Ridge speaks for the first time, so Sydney thinks clearly him being deaf has been a prank this entire time and she starts to cry. But actually, no, it's not Ridge speaking, it's Brennan, his brother. The real Ridge takes her to the bathroom to throw up. He's angry with her for enjoying herself. Yeah, they never explain why he's pissed off. Like, he's pissed off because she's drunk and enjoying herself. And he puts her into bed with Maggie. Ridge, I turn and look at them, at both halves of my heart, cuddled tightly together in a bed of irony. So embarrassed for Maggie that all it takes to be her equal is a few weeks. What kind of man does that make me? If I can't prevent myself from falling for another girl, do I even deserve Maggie? No. I'll be reasonable and say that if you're in a long-term relationship, chances are you're probably going to have a moment like of a spark with someone else, or what if, a crush. Very normal. But what you do then is you work on like getting the spark back in your relationship. You have date nights, you do stuff together, all that, good crap. You don't continue to hang out in close proximity with your crush and then touch them up under the excuse of making music. Duh. He literally goes to Sydney's room and touches her face and traces her lips with his finger. If you want your actual relationship to work, then do the opposite of this scenario. They then hold hands whilst his girlfriend sleeps in the next room. I've known since the moment I met Maggie years ago that our souls are compatible, and they are. That's not even a question. However, I also know that my soul is compatible with Sydney's, but it's also so much more than that. Our souls aren't just compatible, they're perfectly attuned. See, it's not even, oh, I love them equally. He clearly... think about that. He clearly likes Sydney more than Maggie, so either he's incredibly selfish, or she's really ill, and he's going to stick it out to the end with her before jumping into Sydney's bed. Otherwise, I don't know why he doesn't dump Maggie. We'll get to it, don't worry. I can also tell just by looking at her that she's fallen in love with me. It serves as further proof that I need to do what should have been done a long time ago. I very reluctantly lean forward, reach over to my nightstand and grab a pen. I pull my fingers from hers and open her palm to write on it. I need you to move out. Okay, so this is actually hilarious. He is such a dickhead. Doing that to her while she's hungover. Not even telling it to her, texting it to her face, writing it on her hand and leaving the room. What a dreamboat. Also, she's not even being paid for any of the lyrics she's written, so how she affords to move out? I think Ridge actually hates her. Chapter 17, Sydney. Sydney wakes up and is complaining that the apartment doesn't feel like hers, that she's been borrowing someone else's life. She goes to the bathroom and finds Maggie convulsing on the floor. She gets Ridge and they call 911. I told you, knew she was sick, no. Warren informs Sydney that Maggie has stage 2 cystic fibrosis-related diabetes. The paramedics arrive to take Maggie. I'm coming with you, I say, slipping my foot into a shoe by the front door. No, you're not. I look up at him, somewhat in shock at the harshness of his voice as I slip my other shoe in. He begins to pull the door shut on me and I slap a palm against it. I'm coming with you, I say again, more determined this time. He turns and looks at me with hardened eyes. He doesn't need you there, Sydney. Like, seriously, what fucking use is Sydney going to be anyway? What? Is she going to try and hump Ridge whilst Maggie is, like, unconsciously being seen to? What? He brings his other hand up to mine while still gripping his shoulder. He squeezes both of his hands around mine desperately, then tilts his face towards his shoulder. He kisses the top of my hand so I feel a tear fall against my skin. I close my eyes and press my forehead against the back of his seat and I cry. See how much use she is? Crying and cuddling with Ridge whilst his girlfriend has convulsions in the ambulance. Brilliant writing, Hoover. What a love story. Really ruined for them. Warren isn't speaking to Sydney and she's all like, what have I even done? I don't know. Had an affair with Ridge? I click a link on the left of the page that says, what is cystic fibrosis? My heart begins to pound and my tears are flowing as I take in the same words that stick out on every single page, no matter how many pages I click. Genetic disorder of the lungs, life threatening, shortened life expectancy, no known cure, survival rates in the mid and upper 30s. I can't read any more for all the tears I'm crying for Maggie from Ridge. Fucking told you. She's going to wait around for Maggie to die to get with Ridge. And then he's going to be seen as a martyr because he stayed with Maggie despite her short life expectancy. What was wrong there? It's kind of just the ending to How I Met Your Mother, isn't it? But anyway, yeah, Ridge is so selfless to be in a relationship with someone who has a genetic disorder, yet not selfless enough to, I don't know, not cheat on her. Weird. Ridge. Warren turns and looks at Sydney, then refocuses his attention on me. This doesn't concern her, and he sighs silently. What the hell is his problem? She's worried about Maggie, Warren. It does concern her. Now verbalize what I'm saying to her. Warren shakes his head. She's not here for Maggie, Ridge. She doesn't care how Maggie's doing. She's only worried about you. They hated him for speaking the truth. Anyway, Maggie is awake and okay, so Ridge uses this opportunity to harangue her. You need to stop being so hellbent and determined to have your independence. If you don't take better care of yourself, these brief one-night hospital stays will be a thing of the past, Maggie. Let me take care of you. Let me be there for you. I constantly worry myself sick. Your internship is causing you so much stress, not to mention the thesis. I understand why you want to live a normal life and do all the things other people at our age do, like go to college and have a career. Let her live her life how she wants, mate. Tears are streaming down her cheeks and she pauses to wipe them away. I want to live alone because I just want to be the girl you're in love with, for as long as we can draw that out. I don't want to be your burden or your responsibility or obligation. The only thing I want is to be the love of your life, that's all. Please just let me be that enough for now. Let it be enough until the time comes when you really do have to go to the end of the earth for me. Which he doesn't anyway. All of this, and he's been cheating on her for all of the book. Coho men ain't shit. Chapter 18, Sydney. Can I ask you a question? This is Warren. He finally says, I am mere curiosity. As long as you promise never again to begin a question by asking whether or not you can propose a question, I want to laugh at my use of Ridge's comment, but Warren doesn't. Why are you laughing at your own jokes then, you big loser? That's why I don't do it all the time. He lowers his head a few inches until he's at eye level with me. Do you just need someone to fuck you? He says with more precise enunciation this time. Because if that's all it is, I'll bend you over the couch right now and fuck you so hard you'll never think about Ridge again. He continues to stare at me, cold and heartless. The irony is that up until this point, he's just been a pig. And yet I think he is onto something here. Maybe the real story is that she became so insecure from her best friend and boyfriend cheating that it's causing her to regain validation in herself by wanting to bang another girl's boyfriend. Don't give me any rubbish about true love, Colleen. Why would he say something so disrespectful to me? Because you've been panting over a taken man for weeks. Anyway, Sydney punches Warren. She, sure does do that a lot, huh? I'm confused by his obvious anger towards me for the past 24 hours. My mind rushes through anything I could have said or done to him that would make him feel this much hatred towards me. She's joking, right? A girl is slowly dying and she's trying to fuck her boyfriend. Be fucking for real, Coho. He gives no explanation for his hateful words. Where did this massive victim complex come from? Am I meant to root for her or feel bad for her here? I truly don't get it. Maybe I'm the problem. I've done nothing to him to warrant something that harsh. Maybe that's his problem though. Perhaps the fact that I've done nothing to him or with him is what's pissing him off like this. Is this jealousy, I ask? Is this what's making you this evil, wretched excuse for a human being because I never slept with you? I'm so genuinely confused as to whether I'm expected to empathize with Sydney here. I don't get it. Sydney begins to cry again. What a baby, grow up. Imagine if Coho did something called actually being a competent writer. God. And the twist is that Sydney is the villain the entire time, and every time she cries, it's just her emotionally manipulating everyone around her. Imagine. That's my headcanon anyway. What's your problem with me, Warren? I've never been anything but nice to you. I've even been nice to your bitch of a girlfriend, and believe me, that takes effort. The Hooters girl really lives rent-free in Sydney's head, huh? He nods in agreement. I know, he says, exasperated. I know. You are a nice person. He laces his fingers together and stretches his arms out, then brings them back down with a heavy sigh. And I know you have good intentions. You have a good heart. Her actions beg to differ, May. You can't just have your characters say someone is a nice person whilst they behave differently. Do you think I'm done, Colleen Hoover? Do you think that I can't read? Like your fan base, I can actually read.
That sign can't stop me because I can't read.
Average Coho fan base. Warren and Maggie used to date for all of a whopping 6 weeks. He laughs. I remember saying that to Ridge the same night. Told him if there was one girl on this earth I needed to de-virginize, it was Maggie. Lord, help me. He sighs but continues. We were staying the night at Ridge and Brennan's. Maggie spent a lot of time over there with me, and we had been dating for about 6 weeks. I know that's not long in virgin weeks, but it's a damn eternity in guy weeks. We were lying in bed together, and she told me she was ready to go all the way. But before she would have sex with me, there was something she needed to tell me. She said I had a right to know, and she wouldn't feel right continuing a relationship until I was fully informed. I remember panicking, thinking she was about to tell me she was a dude or some shit. He glances at me and raises an eyebrow, because let's be honest, Sid, there are some really hot transvestite-looking dudes out there. Well, Maggie told Warren about her condition and how she isn't going to have children or even live to 35. I didn't know how to think of that higher head, so I just did what I thought any guy would do in that situation. I reassured her and told her that her illness didn't matter to me and that I loved her. Then I kissed her, took her clothes off, and took her virginity. He hangs his head in what looks like shame. After she left the next morning, I was bragging to Ridge about finally getting to bang a virgin. Probably went into way too much detail. I also mentioned the conversation we had before, and I told him all about her illness. I was brutally honest with him to a fault. Sometimes. I told him that her whole situation kind of freaked me out, and that I was going to give it 2 weeks before I broke up with her so I wouldn't look like a douche. That's when he beat the living shit out of me. So you broke up with Maggie and Ridge started dating her? Yes and no. We had a long conversation about that afternoon because Ridge is big on sharing his thoughts and shit. We agreed we had to honour the bro code and it wouldn't be good for us if we picked up and started dating a girl I just screwed. But he liked her. He liked her a lot, and even though I knew it was hard for him, he waited until the term ended before he asked her out. The term? Warren nods. Yeah, don't ask me where we came up with that. We agreed 12 months was a decent length of time before the bro code became null. We figured enough time would have passed, and if you wanted to ask her out after a year, it wouldn't be so weird. I don't even know what I'm reading anymore. Warren shakes his head. No, Maggie never even knew he liked her like he did. He liked her so much that he didn't go on a single date for the entire 12 months I made him wait. He had the date circled on a calendar. I saw it once in his room. He never mentioned her, never asked about her, but I'll be damned if the day the year was up, he wasn't knocking on her front door. And it took a while to come round, especially knowing that she would have to interact with me. There's really something quite foul about this, having to hang out with a guy who had sex with you under false pretenses. And people, like, on good reasons, stuff, they like Warren. I don't get it. Just because he's like, right sometimes, he's a fucking pig. Anyway, Warren starts blaming Sydney for putting Ridge in pain by hanging around like a bad smell. So Sydney cries some more. Ridge. Maggie is asleep, so Ridge starts texting Sydney. Sydney is moving out and has found an apartment. With what money? No idea. I know she's referring to the way we feel about each other. I know exactly what she means because I didn't mean for it to happen either. In fact, I've done everything I could to stop it from happening. Really? Spending as much time with her as possible and touching and cuddling and massaging and kissing and laying on top of each other and having your head in her tits is you doing everything you could to stop feelings progressing. Am I in La La Land? Why are you apologising? Don't apologise. It's not your fault, Sydney. Hell, I'm not even sure it's my fault. I'm at my wit's end here. Don't thank me, Sydney. You shouldn't thank me because I failed miserably at trying not to fall in love with you. He types next to his ill and sleeping girlfriend. He decides to go home to give her a proper goodbye. Probably try and bang her, who knows. And I swear down, with all Coho romances, the characters fall almost instantly in love and go on about how great the other person is, but we barely ever see it. Like, I don't know why he likes her so much, because all she does is cry or, like, acts really weirdly, then, like, kicking stuff, or punches people. I don't know why she likes him so much. All he does is play guitar and cheat. I genuinely can't imagine someone sitting here reading this book going, oh, I'm so heartbroken for Sydney because she won't be able to fuck the boy in a relationship. And yet, these people really do exist by the millions. They're consuming this media and enjoying it. And if that's not scary, I don't know what is. This book truly is Cheating is Romantic. The novel. Chapter 19, Sydney. I want him to be with Maggie right now. I want him to want to be with Maggie right now. Because it would make this so much easier knowing our feelings were less a reflection of each other's and more like a one-way mirror. If this wasn't so hard for him, it would make it easier for me to forget him, easier to accept his choice. Instead, it makes my heart hurt twice as much knowing our goodbye is just hurting him as much as it's hurting me. It's killing me, because nothing and no one could ever fit my life the way I know he could. I feel as though I'm willingly forking over my one chance for an exceptional life, and in return, I'm accepting a mediocre version without Ridge in it. My father's words ring in my head, and I begin to wonder if he had a point after all. A life of mediocrity is a waste of a life. She really just romanticized cheating. I lean my head against the open bedroom door and stare at his hands still gripping the doorframe. The same hands I'll never see play a guitar again. The same hands that will never hold mine again. The same hands that will never touch me and hold me in order to listen to me saying, "Get your own boyfriend, you freak." They start hugging, so Sydney cries again. She has cried more in a month in this affair than I have in my entire life. Doubled, tripled, quadrupled, perhaps. Maybe find someone who doesn't make you cry every single page, babe. Sydney, he whispers. I gasp and clutch his hand to my chest. My heart just disintegrated at the sound of his voice. Be too much to hope he's giving her a heart attack, huh? Oh, my heart. Hearing him speak is always too much to take in. Each word that meets my ears is enough to bring me to my knees. It's not even the sound of his voice or the quality of his speech. It's the fact that he's choosing this moment to speak for the first time in 15 years. This is so funny. Like, even Maggie has never heard his voice before, but this hussy gets it after a whole 5 minutes. His voice is slightly deeper than his laughter, but somewhat out of focus. His voice reminds me of a photograph in a good way. I can understand his words, but they're out of focus. It's as if I'm looking at a picture and the subject is recognizable, but not in focus. Say focus one more time, please. The prophetic part of me wants to beg him just to kiss me, even if he doesn't choose me. But the part of me that ultimately wins is the part that keeps her mouth shut, because I know Maggie deserves him more than I do. Maggie deserves someone who isn't going to cheat on her, especially as she sunk 5 years of her shorter life into him. They both receive a text at the same time, and Ridge's heart breaks as he reads it. I don't care if his heart physically breaks. Begone, Ridge, you thought. Maggie texts them. She's been reading through Ridge's laptop they left at the hospital. She won't understand. She'll only see the words that hurt. She won't be able to see how much Ridge has been fighting this for her. Oh my god, shut up, you sket. That's an old school insult, you sket. Ridge runs off somewhere while Sydney, what does she do? Give me a moment, guess. That's right. Cries more. Maggie comes back, gets a bag, and leaves. Good for her. Ridge has gone to the hospital that Maggie has already left. Why was I so damn careless? That's the problem. Sure, that he left the laptop lying around. That's the problem. That's the biggest problem here. Then he's all, wow, I suck. I hate myself. Not as much as I hate you, buddy. Chapter 20, Sydney. We're in the home run. We're in the home stretch. So Sydney's still crying, but she's in the living room where everyone comes in and notices, not in her bedroom by herself. More proof to my theory that she uses her tears to incite sympathy and manipulates others with them. He wants to know how you could just let her leave, Warren says. I immediately stand up and look Ridge directly in the eye. What do you expect me to do, Ridge? Lock her in the damn closet? As a Coho male, that is exactly what he expected you to do. Sydney goes to her room to cry more and Warren tries to get info out of her. I can't actually believe the next bit I read. The fact that Ridge has been honest in his conversations with me is not something he did wrong. The fact that he has feelings for me also isn't wrong when you know exactly how much he's fought those feelings. People can't control matters of the heart, Warren. They can only control their actions, which is exactly what Ridge did. No, he didn't. He lost control once for 10 seconds, but after that, every single time temptation reared his ugly head, he walked in the other direction. The only thing Ridge has done wrong is failed to delete his messages, because by doing so, he failed to protect Maggie. He failed to protect her from the half-truths that people don't get to choose who they fall in love with. They only get to choose who they stay in love with. I look up the ceiling and bring back tears. He was choosing to stay in love with her, Warren. Why can't she see that? This will kill him so much more than it's killing her. Yes, her leaving because of his affair will hurt him more than her. Like, shut up. Why do these characters simp for such mediocre... Oh my god. And I really feel with these characters, it's Coho speaking. I really feel like that she feels that way. Like, oh, it's okay that he cheated once, but what's not okay is you breaking up with him over it. Even though we did nothing to try to, like, what? I owe you an apology, he says. An apology for what? He drops his eyes to the floor and shifts his feet. I didn't think you were good enough for him, Sydney. He slowly brings his gaze back to mine. You are. You and Maggie both are. This is the first moment since meeting Ridge that I don't envy him. How? How is she? What? I'm actually fuming by this. This is the stupidest book that I've read in a long time. I don't know how people can continuously make stupid choices and have them either justified or be told that no, it's okay, you actually are a good person. Do you know what this is like? I watched the Made in Chelsea Corsica series. Couldn't help myself. It's that holiday series, right? And this couple broke up and then the girl's mate started getting with the guy, like immediately after the breakup. And you can infer that they clearly, like, I reckon they'd already banged or something anyway, because it happened like too quickly anyway. As being Chelsea, everyone bangs anyone, right? And people online had spent the girl being like, oh, well, they like each other and they can't help it. And like, so what? People make mistakes. But they, like, it's pretty clear that they're having some sort of like at least an emotional affair. They admit that they were having an emotional affair. I'm convinced that they already banged though. At this dinner party scene, everyone's screaming at each other, and then like everyone's against the girl that's had like the affair with this bloke because but one of the girls gets up and gives the girl a hug, and she's like, "You're not an awful person," despite like actually the girl has done that several times in Chelsea anyway. So I don't know how many times, like how many bad actions do you have to do for you to actually just be a bad person? How many do you reckon it is? For some people, for some people, it's like if you do something bad once, you're a bad person. I'm believing that. But for some people, you do bad things 100 times over. Oh, it's still fine. You're still a good person. Weird. Anyway, Ridge texts her and tells her to leave. Ridge. I clench my fists again, wondering why in the hell I ever had those conversations with Sydney in the first place, or why I failed to delete them. I never thought Maggie would be in a position to read them. I guess in a way, I just didn't feel guilty. The way I felt towards Sydney wasn't something I wanted to happen, but the feelings are there, and refusing to act on them since our initial kiss has taken a hell of a lot of effort. In an oddly sadistic way, I've actually been proud of myself for being able to fight it the way I have. Do you want a fucking cookie? Like, what do you want? Maggie left Ridge a note telling him to leave her alone to process this for a few days, which is way more than he deserves, but of course he cries like a little bitch about how his heart won't be able to take it for a few days. Pro tip then, don't have an affair. Ridge decides to pass the time by beating up his laptop with a hammer instead, not joking. I ponder his question. The only thing that could help me get Maggie back is to prove to her that there's nothing going on between me and Sydney. But there is something going on between him and Sydney, and there has been this entire story. Why is this book trying to gaslight me? Ridge demands Warren kick Sydney out and pay for her to be in a hotel until her next apartment is ready. Wow, what a classy guy. The guilt over what I'm having her do hits me when I see the tears in her eyes. She doesn't deserve this. She hasn't done anything to deserve all I've put her through. Takes two to tango, bro. I pick up my phone and lie down my bed. I put up Maggie's number and send her a text. Me. I'll give you however much time you need. I love you more than you even realise. I'm not going to deny anything I said to Sydney because it was all true, especially the parts about you and how much I love you. I know you're hurt and I know I betrayed you, but please, you have to know how much I fought for you. Please don't end us like this. It ended the moment you had an affair with someone else, mate. You're the one that ended it. Then he cries. It should be me crying. Me. Chapter 21. Sydney. Sydney moans about some crap. First of all, you need to stop blaming yourself for what's happening with Ridge and Maggie. Ridge is his own person. He knows right from wrong. He was in a relationship, not you. Yeah, sure, but common decency would dictate maybe don't get involved with someone in a relationship. Ridge. 3 whopping days later. 72 hours has also been enough time for me to realise I miss having Sydney in my life almost as much as I miss Maggie. This is truly pathetic. And if Maggie takes him back after this revelation, instead of living her best life, hooking up with some better looking dudes, I truly despair. Don't worry, wait. Maggie agrees to meet with Ridge. I pictured her on the drive over with her hair a mess, makeup smudged underneath her eyes with the crying and sporting 3-day-old pajamas, the typical heartbroken attire for a girl who just lost all trust in the man she loves. I actually think I would rather she looked the way I pictured her than how she actually looked. She's dressed in her typical jeans, her hair is neatly pulled back, there isn't as much makeup on her face or tear in her eyes. She's giving me a faint smile as she closes the front door. He loves the drama. He was hoping she'd be crying over him and is disappointed that she's not. Pathetic. Narcissist. Are we meant to root for this man? How about we quit acting like we're not allowed to be ourselves, I sign. This has been the hardest 3 days of my life and I can't go another second without touching you. I don't give her a chance to respond before my arms are wrapped around her and I'm putting her against me. She doesn't resist. Her arms wrap tightly around me. As soon as my cheek is pressed against the top of her head, I feel her begin to cry. I said here, a coho female home self-respect challenge impossible, but I take that back actually. I'll take it back. She's the only decent character in this book. Are you in love with her? She asks. I grab both her hands, pressed against my chest, and lift them, kissing each of her palms before releasing her hands to answer her. I'm in love with you, Maggie. Her expression is tight and controlled. That's not what I asked. He's such a piece of shit, he can't even be honest with her now. I lean forward, not liking where this is going. I don't like it at all. At least allow me to explain myself. You can't come to a decision about what happens to us without hearing me out first. Yes, you can, you narc. I wanted to find the spot in your conversations that proved your disloyalty to me. I wanted to find the moment in your conversations where you became this despicable excuse for a man by admitting that what you felt for her was purely sexual. God, Ridge, I wanted to find that moment so bad, but I couldn't. I know you kissed her, but even the kiss seemed excusable after the two of you had that open discussion about it. I'm your girlfriend, and even I began to excuse it. She was being a bit dumb here, though. He's been disloyal this whole book. No. I quickly pull her to me, wanting the comfort of her to subdue the panic building within me. All about him, narc. He tries to kiss her to shut her up and cries in her mouth. I'm not joking. She starts going on about when they first met, when she dated Warren. She had a secret thing for Rich and he didn't know this whole time. Kaiho, don't you dare try and make a parallel between that memory and this situation. She dated Warren for 6 weeks and he was such a pig that he made promises to her just to take her virginity and dump her afterwards, and he was bragging about it. Dating someone for a month and then realizing you might have feelings for someone else is not the same as being with someone for years and years and years and then having an actual affair. Shut up. Maggie was also aware of Warren and Ridge's deal to not date her for a year. Maggie thinks that Ridge just likes being a hero. I think my illness is the thing you love the most about me. That is a wild sentence. Maggie, stop. If you're about to use your illness as an excuse to leave me, I won't listen to it. I can't. You're talking like you're about to just give up on us and it's scaring the hell out of me. I didn't come here for you to give up. I need you to fight with me. I need you to fight for us. The ones that cheat always say this crap about how this will make us stronger than ever. How could you think of walking away from us and throwing away everything we have? No matter that everything that you have isn't good enough to not trade for a snog. No, the onus is now on you to keep the relationship going. They do it all the time in Maine and Chelsea as well. Harvey and Emily's relationship. She got fed up of his countless cheating, so dumped him, and he was like, I can't believe you're throwing away our entire relationship. What relationship? You're always trying to shag other people. Nutters. Maggie says, I shouldn't have to fight for a relationship when I'm fighting just to live every single day. Real. She calls him suffocating and he literally freaks out over it. All right, mate, calm down. Don't be suffocating. She then says she wants to live properly and essentially not be handled with kid gloves all the time, and says she thinks she will be better off without him. Iconic, best character. They have another cry. Chapter 22, Sydney. Sydney doesn't have a job, so God knows how she's paying for anything. I'm freaking bored. I'm convinced she was just being a home wrecker as a way of amusing herself, to be honest. Also, considering the last chapter was quite emotional and heartfelt for some people, I guess, I don't really care to hear Sydney whining about being bored because she doesn't have a TV yet. Get a grip. 2. The number of people I wish would contract a sexually transmitted disease. Hunter and Tori. That's rich. It's been another 3 days. I open the door and Warren doesn't even wait for me to invite him in. He smiles and slips past me, holding 2 bags in his hands. I brought tacos. I was driving by on the way home from work and I thought you might want some. He sets the bags on my kitchen counter, walks to the sofa and plops down. I honestly don't really understand why Warren suddenly really likes Sydney. I don't see it. But also, why is she being babied so much by this bloke who is quite random to her? It's weird that they're suddenly super tight friends. She's known him for like what? What? At this point, what? 2 months? A month? I don't get it. I think he's just being fooled by crying. That's my headcanon. He shifts his weight on the couch so he's facing me. I'm not coming by here because I feel sorry for you, Sydney. You're my friend. I miss having you around the apartment. And I might be coming here because I feel a tad remorseful for treating you like complete shit. The night Maggie was admitted to the hospital. I nod. Yeah, you were quite the asshole that night. I know, he laughs. Don't worry, Ridge hasn't let me forget it. Ridge. God, even hearing his name hurts. Warren realizes his slip up when he sees the change in my expression. Shit. Sorry. One absolute baby. Just seconds ago, I was grieving because she forgave him, and now I'm grieving because she didn't. Just 3 months ago, I was sitting on my suitcase in the rain, believing I was experiencing what it felt like to be heartbroken. God, I was so wrong. So damn wrong. This is heartbroken. This, right now. Maggie dumping Ridge for being annoying actually has very little to do with Sydney. It's not her heartbreak to have. Why are all of these characters narcissists? Why do they make everything about themselves? It's weird. She cries. Ridge. It's now been 3 weeks since he got dumped and he's demanding to know where Sydney lives because he is the worst. Warren is the only one being sensible. He shakes his head in frustration. Why are you being such a dick, Ridge? She's finally on her own and making a life for herself and doing well, and you want to barge in and confuse her all over again? He's a man in a coho book. What else is he meant to do? I can't believe that people eat this shit up and find it romantic. I want to write my own coho style book but make it as toxic as possible on purpose to see if it sells and have like foolish people simp over it. I will know it's satire, but it won't be written in a way that makes it obviously satire. Do you know what I mean? Like when Brian from Family Guy, the wish it, want it, do it book that he writes, like to him it's a joke but everyone else takes it seriously. I want to do that. That is okay. That's my new thing that I'm going to do. My new 2023 goal. I'm going to do it for the end of the year. Comment on my videos. Also, yes, I still need to get my tetanus shot. I keep forgetting, but it's okay. I'm just not touching rusty nails. It's fine. I've gone this long without getting it. I think I'll be fine. Because Ridge is very mature, he hides Warren's condoms to blackmail Sydney's address from him, which is entirely normal behaviour, not at all restraining order territory. He gets the address. I get a migraine. Chapter 23, Sydney. Ridge goes to see Sydney. And I've just realised that this book is sheer wish fulfillment. Who hasn't, at least once in their entire life, had a crush on someone who wasn't single and maybe wished or daydreamed about being with that person instead of their partner? Like, instead of, like, their partner. Like, you're their partner. Duh. The reality is that never or hardly ever happens, and feelings go on unrequited. Or if people do cheat, very, very, very rarely do they actually end up getting together. And if they do get together, even more rarely, most of the time it's a disaster and ends badly, right? I've never seen it end happily personally. I'm sure there's a few people out there who it has. Good luck to you. Well, not good luck to you. Fair play, whatever. But this book is the wish fulfillment that the dreamy bloke did pick you after all. Except he didn't pick Sydney. He never picks her. He doesn't. It's not him making the choice between Maggie and Sydney. Maggie dumped him. He chose Maggie. She dumped him. She's gone calling back Sydney. Hilarious. However, I also know that opening the door won't do either of us any good. He just broke up with Maggie a couple of weeks ago, so if he's here for me, he can turn right around and leave. There's no way anything could work between us now that I know he's heartbroken over someone else. I deserve more than what he can give me right now. It's like these people have never heard of rebounds either. Go and shag other people and then see how you both feel. Toxic life advice with Alizee. I can't describe what it feels like to see him standing in front of me again without using the term terrifying. Everything about the way he makes me feel is absolutely terrifying. The way my heart wants to be held by him is terrifying. The way my knees seem to forget how to hold me up is terrifying. The way my mouth wants to be claimed by his is terrifying. This writing style is terrifying. My throat is actually hurting. I can't believe I've been talking this long and about this. I'm not angry. I've never been angry at him. The decisions he's made during the time he's known me aren't decisions I can hold against him. Can't wait until he cheats on you, babe. You're the rule, not the exception. I'm sorry about Maggie. I feel awful. She'll come round though. 5 years is a lot to give up for a misunderstanding. Or 5 years is a lot to jeopardize over some skep. But didn't stop him, did it? So why if you've been cheated on, should you have to stay with the person just because like you sunk years into the, like, say I was with someone for 10 years and then they fucked someone else and then they were like, why would you throw 10 years ago? Well, why are you throwing 10 years away by fucking someone else? Shut up. Oh my God, these people annoy me and I feel like it's Colleen Hoover talking and I feel like that's how she sees things and well, good luck, babe. I'm being too much, I think. There's just pages of internal strife and complaining about the mess that they created. His lips are moist and puckered into a pout. Cool, never getting horny again. Cheers. He writes on her, so they hold hands, and it's so intense. And then he writes on her more, and it's the worst, honestly. I'm not reading this out, but look at all of this. Look at the screenshots on the screen now. He's just marking her with a pen for foreplay. Look at them. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's just him drawing on her and her getting horny over it. He's all, it's up to you if we kiss. So I squeeze my eyes shut when I feel a tear begin to work its way out. It trickles down my cheek, falling slowly towards my jaw. It's the absolute slowest descent a tear has ever made. Seek help or drink a glass of water. She's got to be dehydrated from all this crying. They finally kiss and then they're doing something and I couldn't actually tell if they were having sex or not because it sounded like, well, either they were dry humping or they were, I don't know. It's confusing. Sydney stops whatever they were doing anyway because it's too soon. If she texted you right now and she said she made the wrong choice, would you go? Would you walk out the front door without thinking twice? My head stills when the rapid rise and fall of his chest comes to a sudden halt. I can no longer hear his breaths. His grip around me loosens slightly. My heart crumbles. I immediately break away from him and walk swiftly towards my bedroom. I want to lock myself inside until he leaves. I don't want him to see what this does to me. I don't want him to see that I love him the same way he loves Maggie. A, you don't. B, it's been established that the way he loved Maggie suffocated her. C, shut up. I reach my bedroom and swing open the door. I rush inside and begin to shut the door behind me, but he pushes the door open. He steps into my bedroom and turns me around to face him. Wouldn't be a Kernho book about a man ignoring a woman's private space now, would it? All of her books are so formulaic and weird, like the quirky female lead and then the men that just grab women and barge into their bedrooms and stuff. It's so weird. He grips the back of his neck and then kicks my bedroom door shut with a frustrated groan. Romantic. He turns until his back is flat against my bedroom door. He brings 2 frustrated hands to his forehead, then lifts his leg at the knee and kicks the door behind him. Lovely. I need you to leave, please. And if you really care about me, you won't come back. He slowly turns and faces me. His eyes lock with mine. I've never seen more emotions flash through them than in this moment. No, he says firmly. Wow, romance. He begins walking towards me and I begin backing away from him. He's shaking his head pleadingly. He reaches me just as my legs meet my bed and he grabs my face between his hands and presses his lips to mine. I shake my head and push against his chest. What am I reading? He makes her lie down on the bed, then takes his top off and has her feel his heartbeat. I relax against his chest, find the rhythm of his heartbeat. Beep, beep, pause, beep, beep, pause, beep, beep, pause. It's absolutely beautiful. The way it sounds is beautiful. The way it cares is beautiful. The way it loves is beautiful. He presses his lips on my head. I close my eyes and I cry. I'm getting upset. Bridge. It's barely been 3 weeks since Maggie and I broke up. When Sydney asked if I'd take Maggie back, I didn't answer, but only because I knew she wouldn't believe my answer. I loved Maggie, but I honestly don't think Maggie and I are best for each other anymore. I know exactly where we went wrong. The beginning of our relationship was romantic to the point where it was almost fictionalized. We were 19 years old. We barely knew each other. The way we waited for an entire year only built up feelings that weren't based on anything except false hopes and idealized love. Nah, fuck off. He did not come to these conclusions by himself in less than 3 weeks. He's not that introspective, and you can't gaslight me into believing otherwise. Anyway, the gist of it is he loves Maggie, but didn't actually love her really anyway, so who cares? He writes Sydney a letter, which I feel like Coho has done this in almost every single book now. Sydney. The letter says the first time he saw her, his heartbeat skipped, and he's more in tune with his heart than anyone else, so there you go. It's okay to cheat as long as you didn't really actually properly romantically love your partner anyway, because you just had a hero complex. Also, he wanks over her in the shower. It would start beating in places I never felt my heart beat before. He's saying that she makes his cock throb. So when you ask if I would choose her over you, you're presenting a situation that I can't give you a straight answer to. Because yes, at this point, I would probably walk away from you if she asked me to. The majority of my loyalty still lies with her. But if you're asking who I need more, who I want to be with more, who my heart craves more, my heart decided that for me for a long time ago, Sydney's. Even then, he still wouldn't choose her, and he would still. She's his second option. Maggie doesn't want him, but if she does, he'd turn around and go back. What a love story, Coho. You've outdone yourself. So Sydney cries some more. He leaves the next morning and leaves a note saying he will wait for her. Chapter 24, Ridge. It's been a month and Ridge is organising a gig in 3 months. That's it. Chapter 25, Sydney. It's 3 months later. Warren wants Sydney to go out. He narrows his eyes. Listen, Sid, I don't mean to be rude, but all this moping around for the past few months has caused you to put on a little weight. Your ass looks huge in those jeans. That blue dress may be able to hide a little of that, so go put it on or I might be too embarrassed to go out of you. Man of the year. And this is when I realised that Sydney has no other friends besides Warren. She lost Tori. Warren's been sticking around with her because she doesn't have any other friends. I don't understand what it is with Coho women just having, like, even no friends or one friend that's mentioned once. It's like the man that they're interested in just has to be the entire focal point of their lives. It's weird. He takes her to a gig place, forgot the word, to see Sounds of Cedar. Ridge is there looking fit. His arms look as if they were built for the sole purpose of carrying a guitar. It molds to him so naturally, it feels an extension of him. What a load of rubbish. His voice is cut off when Ridge pulls the microphone away from him and leans towards it. Sydney, Ridge says in the microphone, some of these songs I wrote with you, some of these songs I wrote for you. If you aren't ready to say the word, that's fine, he says. I'll wait as long as you need me to. I just hope you don't mind this interruption tonight. He pushes the microphone away, then looks down to his guitar. Brennan leans into his microphone and looks at me. He can't hear what I'm saying right now, so I'll take this opportunity to tell you Ridge is full of shit. He doesn't want to wait anymore. He wants you to say the word more than he wants air. So please, for the sake of all that is holy, say the word tonight. Imagine going to a gig and seeing all of this relationship drama coming out on stage. Or worse, imagine you're the subject of the relationship drama and everyone's like up in your business in this. How mortifying would that be? I laugh as I wipe a tear from my eye. Of course she does. Ridge. So it's just them doing the gig. He's written new songs about them and wanting to be together and is very Wattpad. She finally agrees to be with him and signs to say so because she learned sign language in the past few months for him. I immediately drop my guitar to the floor and rush off the stage. Bit rude, there's paying audience members there. I can feel her crying. Of course you can. They kiss and are in love. Sydney. They go back to her apartment and do sex things. I love you, I quickly repeat. When the words leave my lips, his fingers begin moving again. As soon as I'm quiet, his fingers stop. It doesn't take me long to figure out what game he's playing. I grin and say it again. I love you. His fingers slip inside the top edge of my panties, and my voice grows quiet again. It's really hard for me to speak when his hand's that close. It's really hard to do anything. His fingers come to a pause just inside my panties where he doesn't feel me talking. I want his hand to keep moving, so I somehow breathe the words, I love you. His hand slides further inside me. Nope, his hand slides further inside and stops. I close my eyes and say it again slowly, I love you. This is torture for me. You can't even imagine. Anyway, he finger blasts her off into infinity and beyond. The way he's looking at me, as if I'm the only thing that matters in the world, makes the moment take on a whole new feel. I'm completely consumed, not by waves of pleasure, but by waves of raw emotion. I didn't know I could feel someone this much. I didn't know I could need someone this much. I had no idea I was capable of sharing this kind of connection with someone. All of that for some fingering. Ridge lifts a hand and wipes a tear away from my temple, and then dips his head and kisses me, gentle and soft, coaxing even more tears out of me. It's the perfect kiss for the perfect moment. Can you please stop crying for one chapter? Ridge has Sydney wear earplugs so she can feel her own heartbeat whilst he does sex to her. Tears begin to well in my eyes. Honestly, I feel like Coho is taking the piss now. So the sex goes on for pages and he's moving to the sound of her heartbeat. I wish my heart would stop. Anyway, she comes so hard that she cries more. Ridge, he loves her. The end. I thought that there was going to be a bigger twist other than Maggie being ill. So once again, my expectations were on the floor, but the execution sunk even lower than that. So let's see. Sydney has no goals outside of dating Ridge. Ridge begged Maggie to take him back but got dumped and then went to Sydney, but also admitted he would have gone back to Maggie if she asked, so he never actually chooses Sydney. What a mess. And the worst part is this is book 1 of 3. None of this story warrants expanding upon. That's it. That's the end of this video. Good lord. I swear it just gets worse every single time with Coho. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. I make new videos whenever I feel like it. Follow me on Instagram. And thank you G2A for sponsoring today's video. That's all. See you guys next time. Bye.